Nansho City, Sichuan Province. Clear sunny weather. Suddenly, lightning struck the roof of one of the buildings. There was an explosion at the point of impact. People looked at the impact site with fear. The outline of a man could be seen through the dispersing smoke. A young man in an old-fashioned suit appeared on the roof. He looked around. The man took a bird's-eye view of the city. At last, he was back. But why had things changed so much here? There is a jar of disinfectant solution on the table. The girl wonders if her brother has had another fight with someone. The young man has abrasions on his face, and the girl tries to treat them. From a young age, he and his sister Zhang Ziyu had lived their lives supporting each other, until a chance meeting 8 years ago. The old man called out to the boy and said he could see that his bones were excellent, a very rare talent. He had one treasure. Would the young man be interested in it? The boy said he was not interested. The old man opened the box held in his hand, and a disembodied spirit flew out. This chance encounter completely changed the boy's life. It opened the gate leading to another world. After 8,000 years of bloody struggle, finally achieving great respect, he only met with immense emptiness and loneliness. Thoughts of his dear one who remained on Earth did not leave his head. He finally found an unusual way to transcend time and space. The guy who appeared on the roof of the building along with the lightning went down and while crossing the road, almost got hit by a car. The driver of the car was angry. Had this man who stood in the middle of the road decided to die? The driver looked closely. He thought that this pedestrian reminded him of someone. Could it be Zhang Ziling? The man from the rooftop recognized the driver of the car. It was Zhang Jingsheng, his classmate from middle school. Because of his sullen appearance, this person was always in competition with him in middle school. Zhang Jingsheng was surprised. Did they not recognize him? How many years had it been since they had seen each other? Dressed like this, was Zhang Ziling really doing cosplay? The girl sitting beside the driver in the car said hello and said that they hadn't seen each other for a long time. It was Tang Yu, the first high school love. If he hadn't crossed the line, maybe they would have gotten somewhere. Zhang Ziling said hello. It turns out that Tang Yu is also here. Zhang Ziling asked an old acquaintance if he knew where his little sister was. Jingsheng replied that he didn't know where his sister was because he had moved to another neighborhood. Jingsheng added that he heard that she was taken away by some rich family, assuming she's living a much better life than her brother now. Jingsheng added that in the past, during the relocation and demolition, they didn't find Zhang Ziling. His sister was also nowhere to be found. Did they not receive compensation for the demolition of the housing? Jingsheng said that his friend now looked like a beggar and offered him money to start a small business. Zhang Ziling thanked Jingsheng. He just didn't have any money. Tang Yu said that their group was organizing a reunion at a restaurant in 5 days. Would he be able to come? Zhang Ziling replied that if there was time, he would definitely come. Jingsheng said that if there was a question of lack of money, he could come by. He just needs a cleaning lady. He would, of course, help his old classmate. Zhang Ziling thought that he should first find an apartment, change his clothes, and also consider his next steps. Zhang Ziling looked at the glowing spatial ring on his finger. Our hero didn't expect that this spatial storm not only made his spiritual power weaker, but also broke the spatial barrier ring. In addition to losing the magic stone and fast-acting medicine, the magic vessel and artifact wool were also lost. Zhang Ziling decided to spare some time to seek them out. Our hero chose to live in the Xingfu residential complex in a suburban neighborhood. The woman renting the apartment said that there are 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and 1 living room. It is good value for money. In addition, the annual rent is on favorable terms. Zhang Ziling looked around and decided that it really wasn't a bad apartment for this kind of money. The boy thought that he would finally be able to get a good night's rest. He didn't seem to need a bath, but since he was back, it would be nice to relax a little. Zhang Ziling poured water into the bathtub and immersed his body into it. No matter what, the spiritual power on Earth is too weak, recovery is very slow, still need to think of other ways. The guy heard the door open and someone entered the apartment. A girl stood on the threshold. She swayed and could hardly stand on her feet. The girl said that Benjiao could still drink. To bring herself back to normal, she decided to take a bath and, moving forward, began to undress. When she opened the door to the bathroom, she was stunned. She hadn't expected to see anyone here. Zhang Ziling managed to get out of the bathroom and even put a towel on his lower body. The young men met each other's gazes. Benjiao screamed loudly in surprise and fear. The loudest thing she screamed was that she had a bandit in her room. Zhang Ziling was sitting on the sofa, still wearing the same towel. There was a slap mark on his face. He thought, why did you have to slap so hard? Ben Xiao was excitedly talking on the phone. The girl asked, how could Sister Qian rent the apartment without telling her? After all, she had said that she would pay later. Zhang Ziling thought, if it wasn't the girl, he would definitely give change. The guy asked Ben Xiao if she was in arrears on her rent. Ben Xiao said that due to some reasons, she owed several months' rent. So who knew that the landlady would rent the apartment to this guy? Zhang Ziling said that there is no need to discuss this topic anymore. He gives her the evening to pack her things and leave this place. Ben Xiao said she didn't have a penny and asked if they could make a deal. Could she let him live here for a while? Zhang Ziling said that he was renting an apartment here now. Why on earth would he let her live here? The girl said she could be a housekeeper. He could use her work as rent. Zhang Ziling thought about it, and this prospect satisfied him. He said that they had reached an agreement. The guy said that from tomorrow, all laundry, cooking, and cleaning duties would fall to her. It was midnight on the clock. Our hero was intensely meditating in the lotus posture. However, he heard some extraneous noises in the neighboring room. Zhang Ziling opened the door to the girl's room and asked what she was doing in the middle of the night. The guy saw a girl with her mouth taped shut and her hands tied behind her back. There were also 2 robbers in the room. Our hero thought it was a kidnapping. One of the villains took out a telescopic baton and tried to attack Zhang Ziling. However, Zhang Ziling kicked his chest and disarmed his opponent. The villain lost his balance and fell, hitting his back against the wall. The other villain, holding the girl on his shoulder, thought this guy was proving to be quite capable, so he pulled out a knife and threatened them. The bald bandit swung his knife and was about to attack our hero with it. Zhang Ziling blocked his opponent's punch with 2 fingers and used his internal reserves to attack him. The villain fell to the ground, dropping his captive in the process. Zhang Ziling picked up the girl in his arms and thought, how could these brigands be related to his housekeeper? Our hero carried the girl to another room and left her in a safe place. Zhang Ziling returned, but the bandits were already gone. How quickly and cleverly they were able to escape. The guy walked back to the girl and took the duct tape off her mouth. Ben Xiao said there was no need to chase them. They were her father's mercenaries. Zhang Ziling stated if he had known before that it was a family squabble, he wouldn't have lifted a finger. Ben Xiao asked, isn't the guy wondering why her father ordered her to be caught? Zhang Ziling said that he does not feel like asking. He only knows that she is his housekeeper, his person, and that is enough for him. Ben Xiao shouted that she was not his person, she was completely free. Zhang Ziling said, for her to calm down, she should have a good rest. Tomorrow morning he will buy her medicine. In the morning, the young man visited several pharmacies, a situation he did not like very much. The prices are too high, and the effectiveness of the drugs is incomparable to magical elixirs. Our hero was visited by a great idea. He decided it was a great business opportunity. Zhang Ziling thought that he had spent half a day searching for medicinal herbs for the immortality elixir and still found nothing. Our hero finds himself on the outskirts of the city in front of a lake. At the bottom of this lake, there is an ice-healing herb that he will be able to use. Zhang Ziling heard a noise in the bushes nearby. An old man with a strange object in his hand came out of the bushes. He said that according to the instructions of the search energy frame, the grass should be here. The old man wondered, who else could be in this place? This man told our hero that Elder Ben would be practicing sorcery here today. The magical powers do not tolerate prying eyes, and it is better if he leaves this place as soon as possible. Zhang Ziling was surprised. Is Elder here making a martial arts movie? The Elder of the 8 Bags? The old man was indignant. How dare this insolent man call him, an elderly man, a beggar? This ignorant boy would see Kunlun Mountain easily change today due to Elder Lao's abilities. Zhang Ziling began to tease the old man and said that he was very afraid of his sorcery. Elder Lao thought that this boy was very arrogant. We should show him his art and scare him. Wait until he had the ice-healing herb in his hands, then use a memory loss spell to make him forget about the herb. Elder Lao said that he determines the exact location. This is a very profound skill. Zhang Ziling thought, is he still determining? Isn't the grass underwater? If he can pull it out, it will reduce his worries. Elder Lao used his inner resources to try to extract the grass from under the water. He was sure that the grass was really there. The old man ordered the grass to rise up from under the water, and a bright glow appeared around him. Grass appeared from under the water and began to grow upward rapidly. The frightened elder asked the young man what was going on. Zhang Ziling had said that magic potions were not obtained so easily. They were bound to be guarded by some animal. Had Elder Liao forgotten this primordial rule? A huge green snake appeared from under the water. The old man was even more frightened. Our hero said that here comes the guard beast, and added that Elder Liao would no longer have time to hide. To prevent the snake from attacking, our hero wrapped it in chains. However, when the snake calmed down, Zhang Ziling swung his hand and the chains broke. Zhang Ziling told the snake that he only needed to take the grass. He wasn't going to destroy the animals around him. The snake would not touch these people and turned around and went underwater. Elder Liao was surprised. Did this young man really subdue such a huge beast? A snake emerged from under the water, the grass it was looking for peeking out of its mouth. Zhang Ziling took the herb and separated the root. He said that he would give this root to the snake. Our hero told the snake that she can continue to grow this herb in the lake. Not even a few decades will pass. The ice-healing herb will grow again. Elder Liao was angry. Why did the guy give away the root? It would also be good for making medicine, right? Zhang Ziling said, if a snake does not have this magic herb, sooner or later its spiritual power will be used up and it will die. The elder wondered, why then do they say that big snakes have been improving for hundreds of years? Their gallbladder of great value. Letting a snake get away is just a terrible waste. Zhang Ziling said, how can I even pay attention to one small gallbladder? The elder wondered, who is this guy anyway and where did he come from? Zhang Ziling replied that he was a golden cave light, a Kenyuan mountain, and also a superhuman. The elder was surprised. Does this guy really think he's superhuman? Zhang Ziling smiled and said that the elder had exposed him. Master Liao said, boy, don't get arrogant with such insignificant strength. I was just pretending to be helpless to look at your abilities. Master said that Elder Ben's surname was An, and it was very famous among the people. At one time, he was respected from all sides. Looking at the guy, one could tell that he possessed intelligence. It would be better if he was respected as a teacher. The guy noticed that this elder only wanted ice grass from him. Qingfu Residential Neighborhood, Zhang Ziling's apartment. Our hero didn't expect the damage from the loss of power to be so severe. Only 4 pills could be prepared from the extract of this herb. But the most problematic part is that the ingredient that is usually added to the magic herb is also hard to find. Ben Xiao said that it smells like chocolate. The guy replied that these were Zhu Yan pills. They could completely restore spiritual power. If an ordinary person used them, they would not only cure illnesses and wounds, rebirth, but could also increase life expectancy. Ben Xiu couldn't believe it. How could one chocolate bar cure all wounds? Zhang Ziling asked his interlocutor if she knew where the medicinal herb market was. South of the city, the market for medicinal herbs. The protagonist came to just the right place. The guy thought that his spiritual power was very weak right now, so he needed to take a lot of medicines to recover. First, he should think of a way to sell the Dan pills. Then he should think of a way to buy more medicinal materials.
Our hero was called out. The man asked if he was really Zhang Ziling.
The boy looked back and recognized the man. It was Chen Huang. The young men approached each other and pressed their palms together. They decided to clap together. The young men repeated the cotton wave, cotton defense. Zhang Ziling admitted that he had lost in this fight. Chen Huang said that it had been years since they had seen each other, and his old friend was still as unlucky as ever. Where has he been all these years? Zhang Ziling replied that it was a long story. He came to the market to buy some medicine. Chen Huang hugged his friend and said that he knew all the local owners. They would go together and he would make sure that his friend was not cheated. Afterward, they would have lunch together somewhere and reminisce. The shopping area here is divided into 2 parts. On the right side, there are a lot of people who buy ordinary medicines. The maximum amount paid is at least 100,000 coins. On the left side, there are few people. It is the abode of the rich and powerful. It is said that you can still buy 100-year-old ginseng here. However, that's not where they're headed now. Zhang Ziling looked to the left, and it seemed to him that this place was the spiritual power section. Chen Huang tried to stop his friend. He ran to the wrong place. This was not a place they could afford to go. Our hero stopped in front of a large building. However, he felt that the spiritual power had suddenly disappeared, but it must definitely be inside this building. Chen Huang came running after and said that Baiyao Tongjin was not a place they could enter. They had better get out of here quickly. However, the security representatives who appeared stopped the young people. The security guards said that outsiders were not allowed to approach the entrance of their store, so the young men had to leave the place quickly. Chen Huang asked the guards not to swear. He said his friend was lost and they were on their way out. Chen Huang told his friend that ordinary people don't come here. Recently, a big merchant broke in here, ended up beating everyone up, and just overnight, his company was bought by someone. Zhang Ziling inquired, "What is the story behind this Bai Yuao Tongzhen?" Chen Huang hinted, "It is rumored that this is the biggest collectible and auction trading platform in the province, which has the right to import goods at underpriced prices, so it is better to leave here soon." Zhang Ziling said that it was very interesting. He was just worried that a good product had still not found a buyer. Chen Huang was indignant. Was his friend even listening to what he was talking about just now?
The guards laughed. If you add up the total cost, they wouldn't give more than 200 coins for this guy. Does he really still want to go in and buy something? It seems he still wants to go peddle his old stuff after all.
Zhang Ziling said to these guards to stop judging people based on their appearance. The indignant guards stopped laughing and said that apparently this guy had had enough of life. Chen Huang suggested to calm down and smoke. They were just leaving. The guards got even more angry and hit our hero's friend on the head with a baton. One of them said that he doesn't smoke, and today these guys are the only ones who don't want to leave. Zhang Ziling saw the injustice going on and said to these security officials, so they wouldn't wonder why he was so unkind today. Chen Huang told his friend to run away from here quickly. He can handle himself because there are people here who know him. The guard hit Chen Huang in the face with his fist, and the guy, bleeding, fell on his back. Zhang Ziling swung around and ran up to the guard with the intention of standing up for his friend. The other guard was quicker and grabbed our hero by the arm. Zhang Ziling thought, how did the opponent manage to catch his fist? Apparently he's not just some person. Zhang Ziling twisted the guard's arms and kicked him in the back with his knee. Another guard took out a stun gun and fired a shot at Zhang Ziling. He said, "This kid doesn't dare raise his hand against the security representatives." Our hero was hit with a stun gun. The wires were sticking out of his clothes. Overcoming the pain and electric shock, Zhang Ziling remained standing on his feet. Zhang Ziling ripped off the stun gun's striking elements and tossed them aside. The guards were puzzled. How could this be possible? Using a walkie-talkie, a guard reported a disturbance at the main entrance. He said reinforcements were needed. A group of reinforcements armed with clubs and protective shields appeared from the pavilion. The protagonist was surrounded. There was nowhere to retreat. The guards said that it was necessary to attack this guy at the same time. However, a command was given to stop the rampage. The armed men stopped and looked in the direction from which the voice had come. A man appeared on the porch and ordered the whole thing to stop immediately. Zhang Ziling and his friend looked at their savior suspiciously. The stranger said for Zhang Ziling to go inside. A respectable person wants to meet him. Inside the pavilion, the attendant was gracious and invited our hero to proceed further. Chen Huang asked his friend if he knew why the honorable gentleman had suddenly invited them. The interlocutor replied that he didn't understand anything either. They should go and see and then discuss it. The young men entered the office with a man standing with his back to them. The assistant reported to Monk Dao that the man whom the master had invited had arrived. Monk Dao turned around and said that he and this guy had met before. After all, it was an elder from the lakeshore. Chen Huang said that he was leaving here. Does Zhang Ziling really know this monk? According to rumors, he is an incomparable master in terms of effectively finding and making immortality pills, as well as in terms of treasure research. At the same time, he is also an inconceivable rich man and an outstanding person. Our hero thought that the spiritual power he felt earlier came from this old man. Who is he? Zhang Ziling thought, after all, he is now in the largest auction house in the province. Besides, he has quite a high position here, and he was just worried that there was no suitable ingredient market. In addition, the old man keeps mistaking him for his successor. Our hero thought he seemed to have a plan, and it was about time. Zhang Ziling kneeled down in front of the old man and said, if Master hadn't stopped him in time, he would have already been in jail. The assistant said that at first they mistook this guy for his disciple, and only later did they realize that they were mistaken. Chen Huang was surprised. So his friend had been perfecting himself with this elder for 8 years. Our hero knew that the elder was planning to get his hands on the ice grass through his followers, but it would be best to take advantage of the situation for now and help him disguise himself. Elder Liao wondered why the boy had come here. Was it for the sake of his teacher? He decided to pretend for now to observe the course of events. Zhang Ziling was surprised. Had the master forgotten? A few days ago, he didn't get any ice grass. However, his disciple had processed it and made pills, so he had come to the auction today. The old man wondered, did this guy really end up obtaining Dan's magic pills? It's unthinkable. He's an absolute expert at his craft. The deputy wondered, did this young man really bring the Dan pills with him? They were indeed the very same pills. This craftsman had spent a huge amount of spiritual energy to create them. They would not only heal wounds but also increase one's lifespan. Zhang Ziling gave one pill to his friend to recover his strength after being beaten by the guards. The elder shouted that he wanted to take a look at those pills. The aide asked if the elder would be willing to put this on the market. The elder said he would like to have this kind of medicine. It would be a great fortune. The aide said he plans to send the pills to auction in such a case and inform all high-profile people. The elder asked, who was this guy really? Contrary to other cultivators, he was the first to make him believe in unbelievable people. The guy introduced himself and added that as for other things, it wasn't convenient to divulge anything yet. However, if they cooperated, both of them would remain benefited. To prepare the Dan immortality pill, everything is here, rare books and everything else. The elder couldn't believe such good fortune. The boy said he didn't have enough medicinal materials yet. The master said there was no need to worry about that and offered to follow him. The old man went to the secret door and pressed his hand against it. The door acted and opened. Our hero found himself in a secret room. Old man Liao said that Baibao Tongjin was the largest domestic auction market over 100 years ago. It is one of the rare places for unusual things. You can find anything you want here. Toward evening, the young men found themselves in the city on one of the busy streets. Chen Huang said that he didn't expect his friend had become so promising in these few years. He must have come back to specifically meet his classmates. Zhang Ziling asked Chen Huang if he had heard anything about his sister. The interlocutor replied that he had heard that she had been taken in by some rich family. He did not inquire further, but he did not hear any more news during this time. Chen Huang said to let the friend cheer up. They haven't seen each other for a long time. Tonight they can celebrate it and have a good walk. Chen Huang asked his friend to put in a good word for him with Elder Liao. Zhang Ziling promised to do so. Zhang Ziling thought that right now, the old man must be assessing his losses. Chen Huang pointed to the restaurant next door and said that the food here is excellent and the whole city relaxes here. It's okay that the restaurant is small. Regardless of the amount of money, people like to eat here. When the young people entered the small restaurant, they wondered why it was so crowded. Chen Huang said that they must have made a mistake. There is a very big queue. Zhang Ziling replied that it was no big deal. After all, they could really have a good meal here. Ben Xiao was in this restaurant. She was happy that she had already waited in line, and now she could eat to her heart's content. Our hero approached the girl from behind and patted her shoulder. It was unexpected, and Ben Xiao was frightened. Zhang Ziling asked in surprise, she doesn't have money to pay the rent, right? Or is the money just being wasted? Ben Xiao's mood immediately soured when she saw this guy. Ben Xiao asked, couldn't she use her things to sacrifice her stomach? Chen Huang was surprised to hear that his friend knew this girl. Chen Huang asked Zhang Ziling to introduce him to his girlfriend. The friend replied that she was not his girlfriend. Ben Xiao asked, Zhang Ziling wouldn't be angry at the person who was staying at her house, right? Chen Huang told the waiter to set this table for 2 more people. The young men ordered fried pork ribs in sweet and sour sauce, 3 chickens, fried shrimp with cashew nuts, and boiled beef with hot sauce. Our heroes were also recognized in this restaurant and called them by name. Zhang Ziling turned around and saw a young man and a girl in an embrace. They were accompanied by a bodyguard. The girl asked her companion, Zhang Ge, is this his friend? The guy replied that it was just an old classmate. The girl told Zhang Ge that she was hungry but didn't want to stand in line. The companion said he would think of something. Zhang Ge told a classmate that there was not enough room in that restaurant, and to remedy the situation, he offered to give his table to him. A large sum of money was offered in return. Zhang Ziling said that they refuse, and his interlocutor is out of here. Zhang Ge asked, isn't this money enough? And added more. Chen Huang pounded his fist on the table and said that they refused to leave. Zhang Ge said that he knew Chen Huang's financial situation was difficult, and he was willing to add a few tens of thousands to make up for it. Zhang Ziling asked his friend what this was about. Zhang Ge was surprised. Didn't they tell you? There is a renovation program going on. Your parents are preventing the house from being demolished. They don't want to move. Older people who don't want to move are a problem that can be solved in different ways. Chen Huang swung around and was about to deliver a fist punch to the nose of an old acquaintance. However, this guy's bodyguard blocked the punch. Zhang Ge wasn't hurt. In response, the bodyguard wanted to hit Chen Huang and even brought his fist above him. Zhang Ziling intercepted the bodyguard's fist and forcefully squeezed it. Our hero pushed the attacker away and told him to get out of here immediately. Zhang pointed his finger at Zhang Ziling and said that he would soon know the full extent of his anger, for he had no right to raise his hand on his bodyguard. Zhang Ziling grabbed his opponent by this very finger and curled it. Our hero told an old classmate to get the hell out of here. Zhang didn't want to mess with this guy anymore and said that they were leaving. Zhang was very angry and thought that he would deal with these guys definitively. The girl walked up to the guy and propped him against the wall. He was surprised. "Is Sister Jin asking you to do something?" The girl asked angrily. "Apparently you didn't understand what I meant." While in his apartment, our hero was watching TV and drinking a cocktail. Ben Xiao was fulfilling her obligations and cleaning the apartment. Zhang Ziling thought that many days had passed and there was no news from the auction. How could he buy medicinal herbs without money? Should he go to the mountains and search for them on his own? The doorbell rang and Chen Huang was in the apartment. He said that Zhang Ziling had to go to the reunion, and it was unclear why he was still like this. Zhang Ziling said that he had completely forgotten about this meeting. Chen Huang was surprised. "How can you forget about such an event?" Chen Huang asked if Ben Xiao would go with them, since classmates could bring their family members. Ben Xiao shouted to wait for her. She would change her clothes now and go as well. Zhang Ziling was surprised. "What's fun about seeing my classmates?" Our hero marveled at how this girl was able to transform in just 1 second. Ben Xiao was already wearing makeup in a different dress. There were many old acquaintances at the reunion, and the atmosphere was relaxed. Zhang Ziling noticed that his companion had already eaten a great deal of food. Chen Huang told his friend that the cell phone in his hand was prepared for him by Boss Lu. The contacts, including those belonging to the auction organizers, have already been saved here. Zhang Ziling picked up the phone and thought that it was very big. His old Nokia button phone was very comfortable to use. Chen Huang explained to his friend how to use this smartphone and what functions it had. Our hero thought that phones had undergone serious changes in the 8 years he had been away. The guests began to pay attention to another visitor. Everyone wanted to look at Master Zhang. What a beautiful couple in front of them now. The host came over and wanted to interview President Zhang. The man said they all haven't seen each other since middle school, and he is very happy to meet everyone here today. He thanked those present for taking the time to come here. It just so happens that this place belongs to the Zhang family, so everything is on him. Someone in the audience suggested a toast to President Zhang, and the other guests seconded it. Ben Xiao wondered why her meat suddenly stopped smelling. Chen Huang told the girl not to think, but just eat. The guy approached our hero and said that he and his company should join and have a drink with President Zhang. Ben Xiao wondered why they should respect this person. The guy said that Zhang Ziling has a very uncultured friend. President Zhang is always welcoming. Not only did she not thank him, she even wondered why. Zhang Ziling said that this girl's behavior is fine with him, so there is no need to get involved. The guy said that he knows everything. Earlier, President Zhang gave Zhang Ziling money and the guy hurt him. His hand is still bandaged. Zhang Ziling said that he did not want to discuss this topic. The girls flanked President Zhang and inquired about his well-being. Did his finger hurt? Someone in the audience shouted that Zhang Ziling had overstepped his bounds. He should apologize to the president immediately. Mr. Zhang is a good man. He even lent money to this guy, and he turned out to be a traitor. Zhang Ziling said that this is strange to hear. The people present are standing and swearing even though they don't know anything. Mr. Zhang thanked his classmates for their support, but suggested forget about it and just not let this guy maim anyone in the future. One of his classmates said he couldn't ignore it. Such scoundrels burden society, and he could not let it go unnoticed. Many of those present supported him. Chen Huang said for everyone who disagrees to leave this place. Zhang Ziling said for his friend to forget about it. It is boring and completely unproductive. They are leaving. The guy didn't calm down, he wondered. Did Zhang Ziling really want to leave after everything? The man called other classmates for help and said they couldn't just let these people get away with it. Zhang Ziling and his friends were surrounded by the people present. They were aggressive. Zhang Ziling said that you can twist stupid people around any way you want, and they want to understand anything. Do they really think they can stop him? Then they can try. The most scandalized man said, if this guy doesn't apologize, he's not leaving here alive. Does he have contempt for everyone here? An aggressive classmate took our hero by the arm and told him he had caught him and encouraged others to beat him up. Zhang Ziling pushed that aggressive guy away, and the guy flew backwards and fell to the floor. The injured man shouted that it was necessary to immediately attack Zhang Zilin with the entire group and turn him into a chop. The attackers became bolder and came within striking distance of our hero. Zhang Ziling knocked out one attacker with a punch to the chest. The attack did not stop. The forces were unequal, but our hero repelled the attackers' attacks with dignity. An aggressive classmate shouted not to be afraid of this guy. He had already called the police. If they attack him all together now, he won't be able to stand it. Zhang Ziling would throw back far away anyone who ventured to approach him. Suddenly, a big man entered the arena and shouted for everyone to disperse. The thug jumped high up and landed on top of our hero. However, Zhang Ziling scattered everyone in different directions. There were no more people willing to attack. Chen Huang asked his friend if he was okay. It was quite crazy. The police rushed into the banquet hall. An officer ordered no one to move. The most scandalous participant of this event rushed to the police officers and said with tears in his eyes that they had finally arrived. This unscrupulous bully beat up all the classmates. Protection is needed. The policeman asked who Zhang Ziling was here. The man pointed at our hero and said that's the guy's name. The policeman said for citizen Zhang Ziling to follow them. He hoped the guy wouldn't resist and they would discuss the rest at the station. Chen Huang wondered why the police were arresting Zhang Zilin. After all, he is the one who is the victim. The police officer said if the man is innocent, they will let him go. No need to worry, and the young man can go with them to testify, but does not have to be handcuffed. The policeman pulled out the handcuffs and held them out to our hero. Chen Huang told his friend not to be impulsive. He would call Lu's boss, and he would help him deal with the situation. Zhang Ziling thought that his friend was right, but it would be much better if he bought some time. Our hero had an idea. Zhang Ziling asked Chen Huang, "Is the photo he took at the restaurant still available?" Chen Huang replied that he hadn't deleted the photo yet, although he was going to. Zhang Ziling held his smartphone up and told everyone that there was proof of his innocence. Our hero showed the photo and said that this picture clearly demonstrates everything. It is necessary to look at this officer. Those present looked at the photograph. They were terribly surprised. 2 days ago, Zhang Ziling and Chen Huang had met Zhang Jingsheng at a restaurant. He was with an unknown woman. Plus, this man had wads of money in his hands. After all, this is irrefutable evidence of their innocence. Our hero said that despite the long waiting time, there were no vacant seats. After meeting them, Mr. Zhang threatened them to take away their table and afterwards tried to hand them money. However, after refusing, he ordered his men to beat them up. All this was to get the table. They had to act in self-defense. Zhang Ziling said that if they don't believe him, they can call that restaurant. They are willing to share the CCTV footage there. Is the audience really interested in learning about President Zhang's sins? It's fascinating and intriguing. Zhang Xin's companion asked, "Didn't he swear allegiance to her? What is the meaning of that? Who is this woman?" The police officers and others present were at a loss. Now it was clear why Zhang Ziling went crazy and beat up those guys. The president said it was slander and ordered a police officer to arrest the guy. The doors to the banquet hall swung open again, and Chief Li appeared on the doorstep. The policeman asked, "Why is Chief Li here now?" Chief Li asked, "Why hasn't this officer reported anything to his superiors? Is he in trouble?" Zhang Jingxing said that Chief Li was just in time here, and it was necessary to arrest Zhang Ziling immediately. Chief Li ordered the immediate arrest of President Zhang. Zhang Jingxing wondered, "Why did the police chief arrest me? This is a mistake. After all, I am the sole heir of the Zhang group. Part of this city is under my influence. I can't be arrested. I have connections and I didn't break the law. I was slandered." The police chief said that they had just received a huge amount of evidence that supported the fact that the Zhang family embezzled citizens' money and paid bribes using that money. The company's assets have been frozen and are subject to investigation. Zhang Jingsheng was in handcuffs screaming to be released. He's going to contact his lawyer now. He needs help because he didn't break the law. The owner of the auction house told the chief of police that it was a great job. Chief Li told Mr. Lu that he was very polite. If it wasn't for him, they wouldn't have been able to shut down so many corrupt businesses. He is happy that they have people like Mr. Lu in their city. The people present were astonished when they saw Mr. Lu. Even the Zhang group couldn't compare to him. No one suspected that the Zhang group was too corrupt. The director of the auction house, Mr. Lu, approached our hero and said that the culprit had been arrested, and remarked that the auction would be held at 8 o'clock in the evening. Zhang Ziling said that thanks to Mr. Li, he would come to the auction. The most scandalous classmate thought his reputation had been destroyed. It turns out that Zhang Ziling and Mr. Liu know each other. The people present regretted what had happened. They shouldn't have believed the rumors about guys like Zhang Ziling. President Zhang's companion thought she had made a mistake. She picked the wrong person. 8 o'clock in the evening, the auction hall of the trading house. There were many influential and famous people here. The auction host took the stage. One of the guests couldn't wait for this exciting spectacle. His companion said that she had heard they were in for a surprise, a real treasure, at the finale. Famous and official persons were present at the event. They were interested in purchasing some of the lots. The hostess welcomed those in attendance and said that today's auction was starting. The girl announced that there would be an auction between the 4 groups today, offered a welcome to the first bidders, the Oriental Zhu Ligui. The master rejoiced. At last his apprentice was here. Our hero told the master that he had put a pill inside the bottle and inquired when they would go on the stage. Ben Xiao looked at the elder and told her companion that this old man looked unreliable. Master Liao told his disciple that this bottle was too cheap. They're in the grand finals, so they should use a different package. Good pills should be in good jade. This is the only way to protect their quality. Our hero has almost forgotten, for it is a rare treasure of the earth. The masters have been warned that finals are coming up, and they should prepare to go out. On the stage in front of the master and his disciple, there was a cold, light jade spirit box lying in front of them. Even it alone is very precious. The people in the audience were surprised. Who was this guy? They wondered what was in the jade box. The hostess said that the gentleman had prepared plaques, as they would present the favorite of their auction's grand finale, Zhu Yangdan. Those present were surprised. How could this be possible? Is it really the legendary Zhu Yangdan? Zhang Ziling opened the jade box, and everyone could see its contents, a precious pill. The fragrance from this pill spread throughout the entire hall. Auction bidders in attendance were in awe of the flavor from the pillory. The astonished elder asked, "Is this really a true legendary pill?" Master Liao said for Mr. Wei not to worry, everything here is real. He and his disciple, Zhang Ziling, worked hard to get it. If there is any uncertainty, you can check it after the auction. Master Liao added, if the result doesn't match, he is willing to pay double. The people present said that they trusted Elder Liao. The bidding has been announced. The first bid is 5 million green coins. The presenter added that the bidding step is 1 million. The prices began to increase rapidly. The number 1 bidder offered 100 million. The man said, if Mr. Wei does not enter the trade, this lot will belong to him. Elder Wei said, in that case, he offers 1 billion. Someone in the audience suggested 20% more. Elder Wei named 1.5 billion. Bidder number 1 offered another 20% more. The number 2 bidder, Mr. Wei, named a price of 2 billion. The precious pill was sold. Our hero closed his eyes in pleasure. Is this really the power of money? He seemed to have fallen in love and started making money. Zhang Ziling handed Mr. Wei a jade box containing a precious pill. The old man, not thinking long, immediately consumed the pill. Mr. Wei felt something after taking the pill and said it was true. The old man laughed and said that Zhu Yangdan was worthy of his name. Even money like that was not to be spared. Many in attendance asked, when is the next auction? Are there more of these pills available? They were willing to pay more. Elder Leo couldn't believe such a success. He did not expect that there would be no shortage of applicants. Zhang Ziling told the master that he was leaving him to chat with the customers, and he himself was leaving on business. Zhang Ziling left the auction area and went about his business. Our hero found himself in the old part of the city. A stray dog walking nearby noticed the bag in the hands of our hero. The boy stopped beside a man sitting on the ground. His face was hidden under a hood. Zhang Ziling walked over, knelt down, and looked into the unknown person's face. Before our hero stood the dried-up body of some old man. Activating the energy at his fingertips, the protagonist read the information. That's right. This man had been wounded by the soul-devouring sword. Zhang Ziling stood up and went on about his business. He thought that that person had been wounded by his sword. Outside the city, somewhere in the vicinity of the forest, the girl was running away from her pursuers. The pursuers could have caught up with the fugitive at any moment. The girl tripped and fell. She had a mysterious sword with her. One of the pursuers said, everyone who has ever encountered this sword has already died. I wonder if she will escape. The other stalker said it shouldn't be so complicated. They should just catch her and send her to the other brothers and let them have fun. The pursuers decided that they should be more careful, because this girl had used a magic sword to destroy their brother. Jumping to her feet and snatching her sword, she tried to scurry off to the side. The stranger jumped high up and started swinging that sword. One of the brigands shouted that she was gathering the power of the magic sword again. It was necessary to hurry up. The girl, flashing her eyes, confronted the armed opponent. However, her strength ran out and she sank to the ground. The girl said that the last drop of spiritual energy was taken away by the magic sword. The young lady turned to the master and said sadly that she had tried. The girl was sitting near a tree with a sword stuck in the ground. She was unconscious. A stalker approached her. The man said that their patriarch wanted to make sure this girl didn't run away. The villain picked up the magic sword and examined it with interest. Suddenly, the sword itself attacked the villain and struck him in the chest. The man didn't understand how it happened. The girl opened her eyes and saw the body of the man who had been struck down by her sword. She didn't realize what had happened because she had lost consciousness. The girl snatched up her sword and looked around and asked loudly, "Who saved her?" The magic sword began to glow, and an extraordinary aura appeared around it. The girl heard someone say, "Soul, blood, strength." They destroyed her clan and destroyed her master. A voice asked, "Does she want revenge?" The girl raised her sword high up and shouted, "What revenge?" The stranger with a sword in her hand said that she wanted the Yao clan to pay for all their atrocities. Zhang Ziling came to the battle site, but realized that he was too late. The battle was already over. The guy thought, who has already used the soul-devouring sword? Our hero saw a plaque with a sign on it. What kind of Yao clan is this? Zhang Ziling decided to look around and see if there was anyone nearby. One of the dead men was wearing a skull bracelet on his arm. The guy picked up the cloak lying on the ground and saw Ziyu's embroidery on it. Our hero remembered how his little sister showed him such embroidery and asked him if he liked it. Zhang Ziling was scared. What happened to his sister? Didn't Chen Huang say that she had left with Master? Did Ziyu really participate in the battle as well? The soul-devouring sword carries a great danger to the spiritual stream. It's an evil weapon. Ziyu must be found. Otherwise, something might happen to her. In the rest area of the auction house, our hero told his friend everything. Cheng Huang asked if Zhang Ziling had found his sister, Ziyu. Zhang Ziling showed Master Liao the plaque and asked if he knew what it was. Master Liao replied that it was a map of the Yao clan. His sister's disappearance was related to the Yao clan. Unfortunately, this clan has absolutely no regard for the laws of honor, so they've become famous for stealing jewels and destroying people. Zhang Ziling grabbed the old man by the shoulders and asked where to find the Yao clan. The old man replied that their base was located at the foothills of Motion, Dawang Road, Chengdong District. Our hero thought he was sure to find his sister. Ziyu reached the Yao clan's residence with the mysterious sword in her hand. Swinging her sword, Ziyu destroyed the gate and opened a way inside. The members of the Yao clan were surprised. What happened? When they saw the girl, they tried to stop her. However, there was no limit to Ziyu's determination, and she proceeded to systematically eliminate the members of the Yao clan. The duty officer shouted for everyone to assemble at this location. A vigorous fight back was necessary. One of the leaders of the Yao clan said that there was an enemy attack on their base, and they should prepare to defend themselves. The silhouette of a man with a sword in his hand appeared from the fog. Everyone saw a girl with demonic glowing eyes in front of them. The fighter shouted that the enemy had appeared and ordered his companions to attack. Ziyu fearlessly met the enemies advancing on her. The brave girl thrust her magic sword forward and engaged in a combat clash. The warrior who was in front of everyone received a penetrating sword wound right in the chest. The fighters shouted that their vice captain had been dangerously wounded. The vice captain must be avenged. The Yao clan members activated the poison ivy and pointed it towards the attacker. Ziyu found herself inside a huge green ball of poison ivy. The girl's opponent, a member of the Yao clan, summoned heavenly thunder and activated earth fire, which he directed at the ball of poison ivy. However, Ziyu was free and attacked the opponents who approached her. She used her sword to dismember their bodies. Ziyu left no chance for anyone to escape. The Yao clan's base was completely destroyed and wiped out. The elder was performing an operation. In front of him lay the body of a monster with its abdomen cut open. An aide reported to Elder Yao that the clan is in danger. It's an invasion. The disciples have been seriously injured. Elder Yao asked how the captains were feeling. The assistant reported that all the captains were dead. Elder Yao said that they hadn't trained well and dared to die in the face of the enemy. The old man remarked that fortunately, he was kneading his muscles, and besides, the experiments in his hands had a positive result. The navigator said that after 400 meters, you should turn right onto an underground road. Zhang Ziling was on the roof of a moving truck. The navigation system told him to fasten his seatbelts. Our hero thought that this navigation system was very accurate, but very chatty. Ziyu left behind only the destroyed Yao clan and destruction. However, the elder from his hiding place was using surveillance cameras to track the girl's movements. He said he was releasing an experimental sample. According to legend, Elder Yao has lived for over 100 years, and he is a true expert in voodoo techniques that can revive corpses through transformation. Recently, our hero heard that Elder Yao has gone further and started to merge corpses with beasts. The monsters were released and were ready to pounce on Ziyu. The girl did the same to them. With the help of a magic sword, the monsters were cut apart. One of the more aggressive specimens screamed loudly and jumped high up above the girl, intending to attack her. With its jaws wide open, the monster began to emit destructive waves. Ziyu was exposed to these waves. However, thanks to having a sword in her hands, Ziyu was able to inflict a staggering wound on this monster. The elder shouted that it was necessary to knock the weapon out of the girl's hands. Looking at the sword, Elder Yao assumed that it was the sword his subordinates were looking for. Master Yao told his disciple to follow him. The parasite king must be released. Legend had it that the elder fueled the parasite king with his spiritual energy, enough to last for the next 1,000 years, making it one of the elder's 2 successful weapons. The elder told the young man to open the doors and go inside. The boy opened the door, but he remembered that students were not allowed to enter the area without authorization. The young man swung the doors open, stepped inside, and grabbed his nose. He smelled a foul odor. The apprentice found a switch and turned on the light. He saw a huge monster in front of him and a pile of bones lying below. The monster approached the young man, flashing its bloodthirsty eyes. A few moments later, this guy was eaten by the insatiable monster. The elder said it was just an appetizer. The real prey was waiting for him upstairs. The platform under Ziyu's feet began to collapse, and a deep pit was formed in front of the girl. A huge insect monster jumped out of the hole to the surface. Ziyu saw an old man in the distance who was trying to control this monster. The girl was not afraid, and using her sword, she was ready to confront this monster. Ziyu, in the process of confronting her, lost her balance and fell into the pit from which this monster appeared. The old man next to the monster said that he would now let this girl die. However, the sword spirit in Ziyu's hands broke free and towered over the old man. The old man realized that he would have to resist the magical power of the sword. The elder's attack on the red demons that escaped from the sword did not have the desired effect. The old man took out a spatial bottle and decided to make a collection. Through this bottle, the old man tried to absorb inside all the demons that had escaped from the sword. He shouted that no one had ever gotten that far away from his trick before. Ziyu managed to break free, and she was once again on the surface. The sword was still in her hands. Ziyu was unharmed, sword spirits circling around. Zhang Ziling, upon reaching his destination, felt that there was the breath of the soul-devouring sword ahead. The guy realized that this sword was inside. Our hero jumped high up to overcome the fence and enter the Yao clan's territory. From the height, Zhang Ziling was able to assess the situation. Below was a girl with a sword in her hand, confronting a huge monster. There were red demons circling around her. Zhang Ziling was surprised to see that the soul-devouring sword was currently in his sister's hands. Zhang Ziling looked into his sister's eyes and realized that she was under the influence of the sword. Ziyu, with the sword in her hands and the demons around her, seemed to be one. Elder Yao looked fearfully at his opponent while holding the spatial bottle in his hand. The guy thought that if nothing happened to his sister, he would destroy this sword. The old man opened the spatial bottle and shouted for the demons to go to hell. He activated the gathering. The bottle began to absorb the spirits. The girl also began to be sucked into the spatial bottle. Zhang Ziling rushed to his sister's aid. The boy stretched his arm forward and was about to reach his sister. The girl saw him and thought, "Is this really her brother?" However, the miracle didn't happen, and Ziyu ended up with her sword and the old man's spatial bottle together. The elder laughed and said that in less than 2 hours, the sword would be in his hands. Zhang Ziling approached the elder from behind. Our hero delivered a staggering overhead kick to the old man's head. Zhang Ziling threateningly ordered Elder Yao to let his sister out of the bottle. The old man, holding the bottle in his hands, asked in surprise, "Where did this guy come from? The bottle will overload if he eats anything else." Zhang Ziling said that this old man was about to die. Looking at our hero, Elder Yao said that this guy has powerful spiritual power, yet he came with evil intentions. Zhang Ziling approached the old man and knocked the spatial bottle out of his hands. The old man tried to resist. He said he couldn't just die like that. Zhang Ziling seriously wounded the old man and took away the bottle and tried to open it. The guy shouted to his sister to take her time. He was about to let her out. However, the bottle would not open. How was that possible? The old man said it was a spiritual bottle. The young man would never be able to open it. In 2 hours, his sister's body will disappear completely. Zhang Ziling stepped on the old man's chest with his foot and told him to open the bottle immediately. Our hero didn't believe that it couldn't be opened, even with his 1,000-year cultivation foundation. Zhang Ziling decided to use his mind. The boy reached inside the bottle. However, he did not feel the presence of the sword there. Also, our hero couldn't find his sister. Where is she? He couldn't understand how it happened. An alarm sounded at the Dragon Control Base. The duty officer reported that a tremendous surge of spiritual power of an unknown nature had been detected. A man appeared at the control base and asked, "What's the situation?"
The officer in charge reported to Captain Bai Long that a huge surge of spiritual power of an unknown nature had been detected in the eastern district of the city. Satellites were deployed to take pictures, and the images were received 10 seconds later.
Captain Bai Long thought, "Is this demon clan bringing us trouble again?" The captain was informed that the signal had reappeared. Looking at the image, he wondered, "Isn't this the Yao clan's control?" The captain ordered that Master Yao be contacted immediately. The nearest cameras should be used to investigate the situation, and a team should be sent to block the field. The technical department should contact the media to prevent information leakage and panic among civilians. Captain Balin said to be notified immediately as soon as a suspect is found. A colleague asked the girl why the cultivation world had to be hidden from mortals. The girl called this guy a stupid rookie. The cultivation world has many dangerous factors. Opening it up to everyone would cause world chaos. She added that one should not think about it, but concentrate on work. Captain Balon inquired if there was any additional information from the Yao clan. A staff member reported that the Yao clan said they knew nothing about it. They are conducting their own investigation. Master Ming Long asked everyone to come as he had a prediction. Captain Balin told the girl to keep him informed as the situation changed. The man sitting in the chair looked at the hologram spread out in front of him. It was Master Min Long. He was approached by Captain Balong. The captain asked what the master had seen in the dream and if it carried a threat to their mission. Master Ming Long replied that he felt a sick and lost soul sinking into eternal emptiness. Whoever once got there can never go back. The old man said there's a new demon coming, a demon dance. Captain Balin wondered, will the demon clan really appear in this world again? Master Minlon said he saw a very strange man. Captain Balong was surprised. A female employee sent a phone message and said that they had found the cause of the jump. There was an image of Zhang Xiling on the smartphone screen. Master Minlong told the captain to bring that person here. The interlocutor replied that his identity had not yet been established. The old man stated that he had a premonition. This man was connected to the prophecy. Captain Bailon, on leaving the room, said he would check it out. Captain Bailon told the assistant that he would personally lead the team. The girl replied that she would prepare everything immediately and contact Elder Wei. The captain smiled and said he hadn't fought in a long time. He wondered how unusual this guy would turn out to be. County Highway. A helicopter is hovering over the highway. Captain Balin has been informed that the target has been located. At that time, our hero was traveling down the highway at breakneck speed. The captain ordered the helicopter to descend low and pick him up in 10 minutes. He opened the doors and prepared for landing. Having secured the target, Captain Balin jumped down from the helicopter. The helicopter pilots pondered how long that guy could last. What could Captain Balin do in 10 minutes? 2 minutes would probably be enough for him. The captain stooped down in front of our hero and told the lad to stop. Presenting his badge to the surprised young man, the officer told him that he represented the Dragon Authority. Without saying a word, Zhang Ziling ignored the stranger and followed along. The indignant captain shouted that he wasn't done yet. The officer activated the spiritual sword and sent it towards our hero. However, Zhang Ziling easily dodged this attack. Zhang Ziling said that he didn't know any dragon management and he had an emergency right now. Captain Balon was surprised. How can this guy not know about dragon control? It's the shield of the country and the regulation system of the cultivation world. The captain became indignant. Does this fellow refuse to obediently come with me? In that case, he should show what he can do. Zhang Ziling said that he was in a bad mood and did not intend to linger here. However, the officer drew his sword and prepared to attack this guy. Captain Balin wasn't getting anywhere. He couldn't hurt this guy. Zhang Ziling was angered at being detained and grabbed his opponent by the throat. Captain Balong wondered, What kind of powerful spiritual force was this? The protagonist was angry at being held up. He threw his opponent to the ground and swung for a punch. The captain received a powerful staggering blow and was deactivated for a while. Zhang Ziling shouted to stay out of the way. The helicopter pilots watching this scene from above were astonished. How could Captain Beilong lose in just 2 minutes? After all, he is one of the top 10 in Dragon Control. The officer jumped to his feet. He couldn't lose. He didn't want to lose his face. Captain Balin activated the strongest energy stream and directed it after the retreating young man. Our hero was running along the automobile highway. At the same time, a huge truck was moving towards him. The truck driver wondered, who could be running down the road late at night? Zhang Ziling approached the vehicle. He was being chased by a demonic spirit. The truck driver thought he had met a deity. The Dragon Control headquarters, studying the information they received, were surprised. The Yaozong Medical Center had been destroyed by a single youth. This guy is Elder Leo's disciple. Is he really that strong? If this is his real ability, then he's a real monster. The aide said there's no doubt it's him. However, he was nowhere near Captain Balin, who had been sent there. The girl noted to herself that Elder Wei looked much younger. She would have to ask him for some rejuvenation tips later. Elder Wei thought that he was unable to discern this. He didn't expect that this guy would turn out to be so talented. However, the medical center was bad and dirty. Thus, he was also a member of Jiazhao Dragon's team. It was necessary to rethink everything. Elder Wei said that it was necessary to find a way to stabilize Yaozong. He will deal with that guy himself. They can't waste any time. The assistant, looking at the clipboard, said she had some new information. The girl exclaimed, "This is impossible." Had Captain Balin really been defeated? Elder Wei has ordered the operation halted. The warriors must be withdrawn. Right now, their priority is to ensure the safety of Captain Balin and the others. The orders are to leave the target alone. He will deal with him himself. Elder Wei got on the phone and informed Bai Bao Tong. They are heading there right now. Bai Bao Tong Hall. Security services are patrolling the perimeter. The vehicle's passenger is under heavy guard. The guard saw the young man approaching. Security knocked on the car door and reported to Elder Wei that the target was here. Elder Wei got out of the car and asked the approaching young man for a moment of his attention. Our hero recognized this old man. It was that Elder Wei who had bought the GUN pill from the auction house. What does he want? Elder Wei asked the young man. Wasn't he curious to know the secrets of the spatial bottle? Zhang Ziling told the old man to tell him everything. Otherwise, this life would be his last. Our hero took a decisive step towards the old man. The guards tried to hold him back. Elder Wei told the young man to stop. They are not his enemies. The old man said in a nervous voice that he was here to help the guy. Zhang Ziling asked, how could the old man help him? Elder Wei said that the spatial bottle is a killing artifact of the Yaozong clan. Someone from the Dragon Unification knows how to open it. Zhang Ziling heard about the Dragon Unification and told the old man to satisfy his curiosity. Why did this organization attack him? An explanation is needed. Nation is. Elder Wei said there's been a mistake. There's no need to worry. As long as the guy is here, the old man promised to answer all the questions. Our hero calmed down and said that he would believe this old man. The young man was invited to sit down in the car. The car with the old man and our hero drove off in an unknown direction. From a car nearby, a young man called out and reported that he had seen that guy. That guy was together with the people from the Dragon Control. Elder Wei told the young man to come into the room. He would be joined soon. The assistant reported to the elder that things are bad. The Yaozong clan is here and they are looking for someone. The elder wondered, why was the information spreading so fast? Master Wei said there's no need to panic. He's still here to meet him in person. The interlocutor said he heard, they brought this young man to headquarters.
We need to give it to them. They've got some unresolved business with him. We need to hurry up and get this guy transferred.
The elder thought that he was talking to a senior disciple from the Supreme Alliance. This 36th generation disciple had personally come here. This was not good. Elder Wei said he hadn't seen this guy in a while and asked how the Supreme Alliance was doing. The interviewee said the medical center is part of their family. The gentleman's only brother is dead. It is necessary to bring this guy back immediately. He has to die, and that cannot be changed. The old man said that the young people had become very impulsive, but tradition told them to sit down and talk. The young man said he didn't care about tradition. He didn't even respect his interlocutor. Is the old man trying to give him orders based on his power and age? However, the old man has already become very old. Guy added that times have changed. Elder Wei can go home and play with his grandchildren. Elder Wei said that this guy was acting too arrogant. Is this really how he was taught to honor his elders? Didn't he think that the Yaozong clan had done many bad things? This was going to come back to bite them one day. They had been warned many times. The young man smirked and said he wanted to see what kind of retribution the old man was telling him about. The only one who could match him, Captain Balin, but he was currently unconscious. The old man's interlocutor was determined and said that nothing could stop him now. However, at the same moment, the Yaozong clan representative was attacked. Elder Wei saw the boy and wondered, was it really him? Zhang Ziling said that he had just spoken with the Dark Dragon. A deal has been made. As long as he is able to free his sister, he will help. This immortal will agree to his request. Our hero and the Yao clan representative stood against each other. The opponent wondered, what is this fellow saying? How could such a young man possess wisdom? In any case, they had met, and now it was necessary to get rid of the trouble. The reception area of Dragon Headquarters. The warrior put down the envelope and said that the S-rank task had been completed. It is necessary to deliver this right now. The girl checked the information and said that nothing else was expected from the Shadow Lord. The most difficult task was completed in less than a day. It was a new record. Regardless of the difficulty of the task, this man has never failed a mission. There's an emergency message. A huge spiritual anomaly has been detected inside the base. All combat-ready units need to be ready to attack. The Shadow Lord snatched up his weapon and inquired about the invasion. It is necessary to destroy these scoundrels. Dragon Hall's VIP reception room. Zhang Ziling confronts the representative of the Yao clan. The opponent said this guy has two options. The first option is that he'll follow him to headquarters voluntarily, but there's also another option. Beat this guy up and take him to that headquarters anyway. A Shadow Lord armed with a firearm burst into the room and shouted for everyone to be quiet. The Yao clan warrior wondered, is this really a rank 5 Shadow Lord operative? However, these pistols wouldn't work on him. The Shadow Lord said he was tired today. He'd had a long day and he didn't want to deal with it for a long time. He's been in need of a rest for a long time. So this guy can get the hell out of his base, or he's about to die. His opponent was surprised to be spoken to in such a tone. Did the Shadow Lord really think that a disciple of a great clan like him would be afraid of such a weak warrior? Shadow Lord should know his place. If he wants to shoot, he can shoot him right in the forehead, if he hits, of course. The 5th-ranked operative shouted that no one dared interfere with Dragon's control, not even slackers like his opponent.
The Yao clan martial artist said that there was a powerful flow of spiritual energy coming from his opponent.
Elder Wei told Zhang Ziling that the guy could take a break while the two of them sorted things out between themselves. The 5th-ranked operative, Lord Shadow Lord, opened aimed fire and activated a hurricane of bullets. The Shadow Lord said he had no need for classic weapons, for he was a monster, a source of power. Today, his opponent would die from the pain he would deliver. The opponent wondered, did this guy really apply physical force to a bullet? He's indifferent to it anyway. The Yao clan warrior turned the bullet around and aimed it back at his opponent. The Shadow Lord was surprised. Was it really his bullet? It was too late to do anything, and a bullet pierced the Shadow Lord's head. Elder Wei thought, even the Shadow Lord was so easily destroyed. How strong is this opponent? What should they do now? The Yao clan warrior asked, has this guy now seen his strength? No need to resist. Better go with him, or he will show something interesting. For example, dismemberment. Zhang Ziling replied, if his opponent wanted to teach him something new, then he could try to hit him directly in the head. If he could, of course. His opponent prepared to attack and swung his fist. He said it wasn't funny, he was going to really destroy this boy. Zhang Ziling easily dodged his opponent's attack and stood to the side. Our hero said he would now show what dismemberment was, and proceeded to perform as his opponent wished. In a moment, the Yao clan warrior was stripped of his arm. Elder Wei thought that this boy was acting very fast. It was impossible to follow his movements. Zhang Ziling was completely calm and continued to knead his fist for further attack. The opponent acted strangely and laughed loudly. He said he hadn't felt the pain of a wound in a long time. The villain said it was a wonderful pain, and he instantly grew a new arm. The Yao clan warrior said that as a reward, he would show his opponent his true form. The villain prepared to attack. The young man underwent a change and turned into a bloodthirsty monster. Elder Wei thought that it was the result of fusing with the demon genome. It's demonization. What a horrible experiment. When did they do this? Did the Yaozong clan really perform such acts on humans? The bloodthirsty monster attacked our hero. Zhang Ziling flew far back and punched the wall. Elder Wei wondered, where did this monster get such tremendous strength from? Zhang Ziling punched through the wall of the building and flew outside. The monster rushed after his opponent to finish what he had started. Our hero stood unharmed. He wondered if the demon was done playing childish games. Zhang Ziling used the Aegis immortal arts against his opponent and directed an energy-charged stream at him. The monster didn't expect such resistance and wondered who was in front of him. Zhang Ziling concentrated a volume of energy on his fingers and activated the Radiant Void. The modified opponent felt a tremendous amount of energy incompatible with his life and screamed loudly. The monster that had lost a lot of strength stood in the pit and tried to catch its breath. The villain shouted that it was impossible for a mere mortal to possess so much power. How is it possible? Our hero did not stop there and brought down sharp chains on his opponent. Zhang Ziling thought that he was all battered up to let the enemy run right out from under his nose. Those hollow chains have been weakened. He needs more pills, but Boss Liu and Elder Liao have all the materials. The power is too little. It needs to be restored faster. Yuzong's damage is huge, but this guy's strength is great, the likes of which they haven't seen in centuries. Elder Wei, watching the protagonist, couldn't figure out whether he was their enemy or friend. The old man said that what matters now is the spatial bottle. The opponent wondered, what are we talking about? No matter how great this guy's strength is, he can't open the bottle. As long as they have the bottle and his sister, this guy will be obliged to obey. In this way, the dragon control will gain a better ally. The interlocutor agreed. As long as his sister was safe, he would be at their side. He trusted the Dark Dragon Elder on that. The old man said that they must sacrifice some strength and resources to open this bottle. Ben Xiao, tidying up the apartment, asked if the guy had found a way to save his sister. Zhang Ziling replied that he needed to find some items for that. He would have to leave for a while, and his maid would look after the house. The guy asked that Ben Xiao should not destroy this house in his absence. He likes this apartment. Ben Xiao said that she would protect this place even at the cost of her life. The girl was happy that finally she wouldn't have to clean all day long. Zhang Ziling declared that he had a gift for her. Our hero took out a pendant and said that this amulet is made of Ling Yue stone. Inside, it is a spiritual essence. The amulet will protect the girl while he is away. He can't let his pretty maid be kidnapped again. Ben Xiao thought, could it be the treasure that the guy found from Elder Diao? She told him not to worry, she would wear it all the time. Next, the girl wished her interlocutor a good day and pushed him out the door. Ben Xiao told him to bring her some souvenirs. Zhang Ziling rose to his feet and thought that this Ben Xiao was rude. It seemed to him that Earth girls were much more polite. The protagonist decided to meet with Elder Liao. He should have the materials ready, and it would be possible to increase his strength. At the country warehouse, Master Liao greeted his disciple Zhang Ziling. He said everything this guy needs is in this warehouse. Elder Liao said that rare materials from all over the country are here. Our hero thanked the teacher. Elder Leo said that he had spent 1 billion coins to buy all this. The young man can consider himself rich now, for he can afford it. Elder Leo wondered if the guy could make more pills to sell. Sometimes he acts like a child. There's no need to worry when it comes to business. Elder Leo doesn't let his companions down. The old man left the young man alone and said he would not distract him. Our hero thought that this elder knew how to conduct business. Zhang Ziling decided that he needed to recover his strength first. After all, he was an immortal and money was not a goal for him. Left alone, our hero assumed the lotus pose and proceeded to meditate and regain his strength. The materials in the warehouse should be enough to pass to the 5th area, so he would only regain 30% of his present strength. Is there a problem with energy on Earth? There seems to be pollution present and someone is collecting all the chewy somewhere. Is there really someone stockpiling materials? Is there another immortal? Who could it be? He had heard of Master Chu Zhou.
The clan leader Yao Zong told the associate to gather his men.
Ben Xiao, left alone, was looking at her Instagram feed with interest. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. The girl decided that it was Zhang Ziling who had forgotten something, maybe a wallet. She opened the door without hesitation. There was a stranger on the doorstep. Ben Xiao wondered who he was. The guy introduced himself. He called himself Prince Yao Zong, the young master of the new medical clan.
Ben Xiao asked he must be selling fake medicine or something, but she wasn't interested in that. The girl slammed the door shut.
The guest said that he had not come to sell medicine, he had come for her. However, the door was already closed. Ben Xiao said from behind the door that she didn't need anything. She didn't order anything. The guy said indignantly that he shouldn't slam the door in his face. The enraged young man kicked the door open with his foot and shattered it into splinters. Ben Xiao shouted that there was a burglar here, and the apartment had been broken into by bandits. The villain broke into the apartment and said if she didn't want to cooperate, then she might not be offended if he used brute force. Ben Xiao was not afraid and took a fighting stance. The girl said that she was a kung fu panda and a dragon warrior. The guy wondered who he was dealing with. Ben Xiao couldn't hold on and fell to the floor. She said she didn't lose her balance. It was a low blow. The villain thought he should just deactivate it and not listen to this nonsense. The boy swung around to strike. The next moment, the unforeseen happened. This man smashed a window with himself and flew outside. A man who introduced himself to the girl as Prince Yao Zong plopped down on a car parked under the window. The clan head Yao Zong, who was driving this vehicle, thought that he had sent some piece of trash to do the deed. The guy jumped to his feet and rushed to the girl's apartment again. He shouted for Master Yao to give him another chance. A few minutes later, the same thing happened again. He left the girl's apartment through the window. Master Yao, looking at the guy lying on his car, decided to act differently. Ben Xiao, looking at the amulet given to her by Zhang Ziling, thought that it had great power. These little things show how much Zhang Ziling cares for her. Master Yao appeared on Ben Xiao's doorstep. The girl shouted for him to leave. She knows Qing Kan and Kung Fu. Didn't he see what just happened? Master Yao exposed his hand, and the girl saw that it was only a bone. Ben Xiao was frightened. She thought it was the ghost grower. He wants to touch her with his bony hand. Master Yao approached Ben Xiao, who was lying on the floor. Her amulet began to glow again. An energy fist appeared from the amulet and attacked Master Yao. Master Yao said that such little things annoy him a lot. The door to the apartment opened, and Cheng Huang appeared on the doorstep. He wondered what this person was doing here. Cheng Huang assessed the situation. He saw a man with a bone arm and Ben Xiao lying senseless. Master Yao looked back and looked at the stranger with surprise. Cheng Huang dropped the grocery bag, turned around and rushed to run away. He realized that he had seen a ghost. Running away, Cheng Huang took out his phone and dialed his friend's number. He said that the house was in danger and Ben Xiao was being attacked. However, Master Yao could not get far. Master Yao caught up with Cheng Huang and knocked him down. Master Yao picked up the phone and said that if Zhang Ziling wanted to save the lives of his friends, he should come to the Yao Zong clan headquarters. After that, Master Yao squeezed the phone and turned it into shards. Zhang Ziling heard this message and thought that trouble had been added to him. Zhang Ziling returned home and saw the scattered groceries and the pendant from Ben Xiao's neck. He thought that these people had involved the innocent in their showdown. The protagonist says the mortals want war, then he'll give it to them. He will destroy the entire Yao Zong clan if he has to. Yazong Medical Hall. The young man reached his destination. The young man stopped beside Master Yao and his ward in front of the Supreme Elder's throne. The young man asked Master Yao, "Isn't he one of the legendary disciples of the Yao Zong clan? What happened to him? He doesn't look good." He asked who was the person who did this to Master Yao. This guy said that Master Yao looks like a stray dog. However, dogs should live on the street. The Supreme Elder shouted downstairs to stop this worthless talk. The Elder said he couldn't stand all this infighting. He had warned them about it long ago. The man downstairs apologized and said he realized his guilt. The Elder said he was waiting for a report. No need to keep him waiting. What else happened out there? The man said in a frightened voice that nothing bad had happened. He was ready for the report. The Supreme Elder turned to Yao Wen and said that since the situation had escalated, he was having a hard time. Yao Wen thanked the Supreme Master for the praise. The Elder said that this was the end of Yao Wen's mission. He added that perhaps he should be rewarded for it. The Supreme Elder began to activate the energy. Yao Wen was frightened and asked why the Supreme Elder was doing this to him. The winged insects attacked Yao Wen. The Elder said that this reward would be a great addition to his medicine. Yao Wen should saturate his medicine book with Zhongli Qingyang. The Supreme Elder turned to Master Yao and asked what he could tell him. Master Yao apologized and said that he failed the mission. The person who destroyed the medical cadaver master is still at large. Master Yao asked for a pardon and said he would make amends in the future. The aide told the Supreme Elder that they had taken 2 of that man's friends hostage. He also asked for mercy. The Supreme Elder said that since Zhang Ziling had destroyed his own brother, he would sacrifice that guy's friends. Master Yao bowed and told the Lord that he was the successor of his careful cultivation in the School of Medicine. If anything was performed to this degree, then he would request to be punished. The Supreme Elder said that Master Yao deserved the purgatory of the blood pool. Master Yao received the bloody tablet and bowed, saying that the clan head was worthy and wise. According to legends, the blood pool purgatory was created using an ancient cultivation method. As this method was difficult to replicate, it later became a punishment tool. If a cultivator entered the blood pool, he would dissolve and become one with it. Even the strongest people were severely injured and close to death. The probability of survival was less than 10%. The Supreme Elder said he was leaving those people to Master Yao's discretion. He can do with them as he sees fit. Master Yao considered himself humiliated. This Zhang Ziling had made a lowlife out of him. He would take revenge on him soon. Inside the dungeon, the villain approached the captives. The guy scratched the back of his head and wondered what he should do with them. The villain pulled out a dagger and thought, he's never killed anyone yet. The young man tossed the dagger aside and thought he couldn't do that, especially with a girl. At the headquarters of the Dragon Organization, Elder Wei was relaxing with a cup of fragrant tea. Zhang Ziling burst into the room and asked the old man, "Where are those sneaky Yaozongs?" Elder Wei said that they are negotiating with the opponents. No need to worry. The young man doesn't need to get involved in all of this. Zhang Ziling said that those scoundrels took his friends. He will crush them like grasshoppers. He needs the address of their location. Elder Wei said that it was illegal. This clan doesn't play by the rules. Negotiations must be stopped, and he will also go with the young man. The villain transported the captives to the nearby Yao Zong clan forest. The guy stopped in front of a sign that indicated that ahead was a cave with no way out. He said they had finally arrived. The villain and his captives were on the edge of a cliff. In front of them was the place from which there was no escape. The villain apologized to the captives and said that he didn't want to do it, but orders could not be broken. In the next moment, the guy threw Ben Xiao and Cheng Huang down the cliff. As they reached the bottom, the young men sank into something incomprehensible. It wasn't soil or liquid. It was something like mud. The young men had hit rock bottom. Cheng Huang couldn't understand where they were. The boy saw a scorpion in front of him. He pushed the insect away and told the scorpion to get lost. The next moment, a giant scorpion appeared in front of the unfortunates and tried to attack them. The villain who remained on the surface heard loud screams from below. The boy turned away and started to run away, covering his ears. He mumbled to himself that he couldn't hear anything. It was his fault, but he was forced to follow orders. The next moment, the young man collided with something heavy and fell to the ground. The guy saw an old man in front of him holding a huge sack that he had to face. The villain asked, "What is this old man doing here?" The old man was surprised. Judging by his voice, was it a young man? The boy wondered what the deputy head was doing here. The young man bowed before the old man and asked him to apologize for his rudeness. Deputy Clan Head Yao Zong put his hand to his ear and said that he couldn't hear well and asked him to repeat louder. The old man told the young man to be more careful. The boy thanked the old man for his advice. The young man thought, what is the deputy head doing here? He's second to the clan head, but fundamentally different, otherwise he would definitely die here. Cheng Huang shouldered Ben Xiao and tried to escape from the scorpion chasing them. The girl cried the whole way and said she wanted to eat meat. Cheng Huang shouted at her to stop thinking about food. Otherwise, they would become someone else's lunch themselves. Cheng Huang stumbled and the youth fell to the ground. Cheng Huang looked back and saw a huge scorpion claw spreading over him. The boy thought that his life was over. Goodbye, cruel world. However, the deputy clan head Yao Zong suddenly appeared nearby and swung a huge sack at the scorpion, telling the monster to go back to the den and not to hurt the poor people. Scorpius saw the old man with the sack and changed his mind about attacking. The huge insect turned around and decided to retreat. The old man swung his pack and threw it at the scorpion. The deputy clan head asked the young man if he was all right. Cheng Huang bowed and thanked the old man for saving him. The elder inquired about the young man's name. He also said that he could be called Old Man Yao. Cheng Huang asked where they were. Old Man Yao said that if the young men wanted to eat scorpion meat, these insects were not meant to be eaten. Cheng Huang wondered, why is the conversation about food again? The old man asked, maybe this guy is a bandit. Maybe he was trying to steal scorpion eggs. Cheng Huang replied that he wasn't like that and didn't know how he ended up here. A cabin in the woods was in the path of the young men. Cheng Huang told his companion that she almost died. Why didn't you wake up? Old Man Yao said as they calmed down and tasted some tea. Cheng Huang, with a cup of tea in his hand, shouted to the old man that he thanked him for his help. Old Man Yao said that there was no need to shout like that. He could hear well enough. Elder Yao said that there was no need to thank him and asked if the interlocutor was one of Zhang Ziling's friends. Cheng Huang was surprised. Does the old man really know everything? The elder said that he wasn't very knowledgeable, but he knew that their clan was feuding with this guy. Cheng Huang jumped up from his seat. Old man Yao said, "There is no need to make a fuss, although Zhang Ziling is their enemy, but these two are not." Old man Yao said that he was interested in this girl, especially her ability to create Jiuan. Cheng Huang was surprised. Does old man Yao really want to use us to get the Jiuan pill from Zhang Ziling? The old man said it was a good idea. Why didn't I think of it myself? While the young men rested, the old man busied himself in preparing the pill. Someone knocked at the door. Old man Yao said for the young men to stay put. It's not safe outside. Cheng Huang thought that this old man was unreliable and decided that he needed to run away from here. Yao Ji came to old man Yao and greeted the deputy head. The old man asked what brought Master Yao here. Seeing the plaque, the old man was frightened. Has he really been sent to the purgatory of the bloody lake? Yao Ji said that it was his punishment for the misdeeds he had committed. The old man asked why the Supreme Elder had punished the young man. Yao Ji replied that the reasons were not important. The main thing was that he deserved it. In fact, he decided he wanted to purge his marrow in Blood Lake Purgatory. Yao Ji stated that if he failed, doom would not be avoided, but it was still worth a try. Old man Yao led the delinquent to the cave. Descending to the deep water, the old man said they had arrived at the spot. In front of the old man and the young man was a place where many human skeletons were located. The old man said that he had been guarding this place for almost 100 years. In all those years, apart from the young man, only 2 people had come here. Upon contact with humans, the lake begins to eat away at their bone marrow. The chances of becoming stronger or even surviving are minimal. The old man asked if Yao Ji was sure of his decision. Are you sure the head doesn't want to lose such a talented guy? Maybe we should ask him for mercy? Yao Ji thanked the old man for his kindness, but added that he had already made up his mind. The old man said he understood the young man, and taking a dagger, he made a cut in his palm. Blood came out. The old man dripped blood on the wooden plaque. A scarlet mist formed around the skeletons. The gate inside the skeleton slid open, and a bloody lake appeared from below. The old man said that there were hundreds of embittered spirits dwelling inside, sealed hundreds of years ago by the ancestors of the medicine hall. They used the lost technique of transforming yin and yang energy near the lake to become stronger. Thus, over time, this purgatory was formed. These spirits are mostly carnivorous, and since there are few humans here, they haven't tasted human food in 50 years. Yao Ji saw a human figure on the surface of the lake and was frightened. What is it? Old man Yao said that the lake had taken the shape of a man. But how is that possible? The bloody man approached Yao Ji and stroked his face.
The old man thought that things were getting worse. The spirits had managed to take human form. If they absorbed all of Yao Ji's power, they would be impossible to deal with.
The old man decided to take action and began reciting the incantation, formless, colorless, invisible. The blood spirit continued to try to captivate Yao Ji.
Yao Ji found himself inside the bloody lake. The old man said that the spirits had suppressed Ji's soul. Now they would easily absorb all his power. Elder Yao said that now hundreds of embittered spirits could break free.
Cheng Huang, carrying Ben Shao on his shoulders, ran away from the old man. However, once in the forest, he finally lost his way. Ben Shao woke up, stretched, and asked where they were now. Cheng Huang said that they were kidnapped, but they didn't escape. We have to get out of here immediately. The young men looked around and saw that a huge scorpion had reappeared in front of them. How much longer? Ben Shao was frightened and fainted again. Cheng Huang shouted and called for help. The bird hovering above the forest began to dive downward. In Elder Wei Lao's office, the master was once again relaxing over a cup of tea. The old man thought that this Zhang Ziling just grabbed the card and ran away. Didn't even say a word. The old man didn't know what to expect from this guy. Could he even manage to defeat the Yaozong sect? Elder Wei decided to ask how Captain Bailan was feeling. After contacting him by phone, he was informed that the captain had already woken up. Elder Wei said to allocate the captain a group of tough guys and send them to the Yao sector to help Zhang Ziling. The old man hoped that Zhang Ziling and Yao Tian would finish each other off so that he could take all their belongings for himself. There would be a celebration on his street. Somewhere in the mountains near the Yao sect, our hero used the map to move in the right direction. Zhang Ziling thought so. If the map was to be believed, following this road through the forest would bring him to the Yao sect. I thought, what's wrong with this cult? I mean, there's traps at every turn. Even if you start disarming one, you'll fall into 3 more. After smashing another obstacle, Zhang Ziling thought, what else could the Yao sect oppose him? Our hero saw some more opponents. They said that this man was the only intruder who had crossed the barrier in the last 3 decades, and according to the sect leader's order, they had to destroy him. Zhang Ziling yawned lazily. He said that the puppets in front of him were very original. Our hero added that he was in a hurry and suggested that all the puppets attack at the same time. Zhang Ziling was cold-blooded and confident as the puppets actually pounced on him in a unified rush. With a wave of his hand, the protagonist entangled all the puppets with his spiritual chain. Zhang Ziling pulled the chain and pulled down all the opponents. The puppets were dismembered into pieces. However, it didn't end there. The puppets merged together to form one giant monster. Zhang Ziling said that the enemy had decided to unite. He recognized that this was already something new.
Our hero raised his head and said that this monster turned out to be very huge. It even hurts his neck to look so high up.
The huge puppet monster grinned its teeth and rushed towards our hero. Zhang Ziling was not scared at all. Zhang Ziling dodged the attack and stepped aside and said, even if the opponent is big in stature, he still won't be able to reach him. The puppet monster attacked Zhang Ziling again. The guy jumped high up, evading another attack. Our hero grinned and said that the guy in front of him was just a puppet, only brute force and no technique. Zhang Ziling decided to attack this monster. He applied the path of 2 fires and 5 lightning bolts. Black lightning restraints were also used, and the puppet was deactivated using energy chains. Zhang Ziling walked closer to his opponent and said that the people in front of him were not even humans anymore, but rather just vengeful spirits. Our hero added that the creator of these puppets is still far from perfect. Zhang Ziling concentrated his internal energy on his fingertips and directed it at his opponent. He said that he would end this monster's suffering. The protagonist declared that he had dispelled the curse of the puppets with his divine flame. They can now rest in peace. Zhang Ziling left this forest and moved on towards the Yao sect headquarters. The released souls looked after him. Just like Old Man Wei said, the medicine hall doesn't shy away from black magic. Who knows how many innocent people they've taken the lives of over the years? Our hero declared that the villains from the Yao sect may not even hope for mercy. The main temple of the Hall of Medicine. The Supreme Elder awaiting the report. The insect landed on the Supreme Elder's shoulder and crawled up to his ear. The Supreme Elder was indignant. Did Zhang Ziling really survive the encounter with his puppets? First, he destroyed his brother, then he smashed Yao Zi, and now he's destroyed his precious puppets. It must be admitted that this guy has a few tricks up his sleeve. The Elder was not discouraged. He said he had a way to deal with this boy. The Supreme Elder called the King of the Black Ants for help and told him to come to the surface. The Elder told him that he had an errand to run. You must go to the ruined abyss and fetch the cellular beast. The King of the Black Ants asked the Elder what would happen if the 100th didn't want to come here. The Elder replied that this was why he was sending the King of the Ants, for they get along well with each other. The Ant King said that the 100th was very uncooperative. The Elder replied irritably that it was no longer his problem. The Elder suggested that the King of the Ants tell the 100th, if she doesn't come, he will destroy her ant nest. The Elder tossed the cloak to his interlocutor and told him to put it on, or the servants outside might be frightened. The Elder was angry, that nasty stutterer always wasting his time. The Grand Elder hoped that Yao Zi would survive the bloody lake. He would be better used than this 4-armed man. The young man was pleased with the harvest. He didn't know that apples grew in the forest, and they were delicious. Suddenly, there was a noise behind him. He saw someone approaching rapidly, and of course, he was alarmed. Behind them, Cheng Huang with Ben Xiao on his back was rushing at full speed. They were chased by the same huge scorpion. The boy dropped the apple from his mouth in fear. What are they doing here? We've got to get away from here. The young man frightenedly asked why Cheng Huang was running after him. Cheng Huang replied fearfully that he was running wherever he wanted to go. The fugitives were fleeing from a huge scorpion that was chasing them. The Elder searched among the things for something that could help him at the moment. With a satisfied sigh, he picked up a small bottle. It was just the thing. The old man threw the bottle into the bloody lake and said, "Cutthroat, go!" The cutthroat began to absorb the red liquid. The old man used a golden spiritual key to extract Yao Zi from the red liquid. He asked for the young man to wake up.
Now the Elder needed to find the soul restoration pill.
The old man discovered the pill among other things. While the old man went to get the pill, He looked around and saw that dangerous creatures were infiltrating Yaozi. The old man realized that they were soul eaters. But why are soul eaters getting into a still living person? Why are there so many of them? The elder tried to pull the soul eaters out of Yaozi's mouth. However, the guy grinned and bit the old man's fingers. The old man had to yank his arm back and cried out in pain. Sores and boils began to appear on the young man's body. Yaozi wriggled and moaned. It seemed unbelievable. Soul eaters were devouring the vengeful spirits inside Yaozi's body. These devourers were specially bred to suppress evil spirits. One would be enough for even 100 spirits, but there were too many soul eaters. The old man was frightened. How many spirits could there be in his body then? Zhang Ziling stopped by the river to drink the cool water. On the other bank, our hero saw a strange creature in a cloak waving a stick. The unknown person had an aggressive attitude. The Black Ant King looked at the young man and thought that this was the one who had destroyed the Supreme Elder's brother, Zhang Ziling. The Black Ant King was frightened and decided to cautiously walk past. Zhang Ziling saw 4 hands peeking out from under his cloak and thought that there was another demon in front of him. Our hero called out to this guy and asked him where the main temple of the Hall of Medicine was, or he was a little lost. The Black Ant King shook with fear and said that he did not know. Zhang Ziling waved his hand and said that he would ask someone else in that case. Zhang Ziling whistled and went on his way. The Black Ant King breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that he had just been on the verge of death. The protagonist stopped. He thought he had scared this demon for some reason. The guy came back and patted the demon on the shoulder. Our hero told his opponent that his demonization process was not complete, as if some poison was holding him back. He had better get rid of the poison, otherwise it could end badly. The Black Ant King thanked and said that he would take it into consideration in the future. The guy was scared. How did Zhang Ziling know that a black mosquito had been planted in him? Trying to get his bearings, our hero said it would be best if he asked the forest master in person. Zhang Ziling plucked a leaf from the bush. The Black Ant King wondered, what was this guy up to? Was it some kind of ritual? Our hero stretched his hand forward, and above his palm the leaf began to float. A dark energy formed around it. The Black Ant King thought it was some kind of spell. Zhang Ziling said that his interlocutor would understand it himself now. There were sounds in the forest and the crunching of twigs under the feet of the approaching creature. Zhang Ziling said, there he is. A huge white deer appeared in front of the young men. Zhang Ziling said that this deer is the master of the forest. He will ask him to escort it to the main temple. Jumping up on the deer, our hero told his interlocutor not to even think about taking too much of this poison. Now he's still making the guy stronger, but nothing good will come out of it. The king of the black ants thanked the guy for the advice. Walking away, our hero said that this demon had now stopped stuttering. The Black Ant King thought that this guy riding away on a deer was actually a good man. The elder, bleeding, sat on the edge of the bloody lake. A whitened Yaozi asked, did they really think they could keep me here forever?
The monster jumped up to his full height and screamed that he was terribly hungry. He needed food.
Monster Yaozi gritted his teeth and shouted, flashing his demonic eyes, that he needed more strength. The old man thought that the evil spirits had finally taken over Yaozi's body. Now this guy is just a vessel for evil spirits. We have to stop him, even at the cost of our own lives. Otherwise, not only the sect, but the whole country will come to an end. The old man pulled out a red ball and said it was his last resort. Taking out a magic flower from the tangle, the elder issued an order, release. The old man swallowed the flower and knelt down to wait for the consequences. The old man's eyes glowed demonically, and he opened his mouth and shouted loudly. Monster Yaozi looked at the old man and saw the huge amount of energy he was releasing. The demon with glowing eyes shouted that it wanted to absorb the old man's power. The old man prepared to confront the demon and its red bloody streams that were released to take away the old man's power. The bottle released earlier by the old man into the bloody lake, emitting energy streams, tried to neutralize Yaozi. The monster was extremely angry and grabbed the bottle with his hand and crushed it into small pieces. At that moment, the old man directed a huge stream of increased internal energy at his opponent. The monster screamed loudly and was fiery with his fiery energy. The elder clutched his heart. He had lost a great deal of strength. Completely exhausted, the old man lay on the shore of the bloody lake. Streams of red liquid began to approach the elder. The old man tried to raise himself up, but the red bloody liquid completely enveloped him. The protagonist on a white big deer arrived at the medical center of the Yao sect. The guy said that these sectarians use cloaking spells.
It now made sense to him why he had previously been unable to find this place.
Zhang Ziling got off the deer and said that it was dangerous here. It would be better for the animal to stay away from this place. Chen Huang, Ben Xiao, and the Yao sect martial artist were trying to catch their breath after escaping from the scorpion. Sheng Huang asked, "Where did this guy take them?" The young man replied that they seemed to be in the forbidden zone just behind the mountain. Chen Huang asked, "So that means that Scorpion can't get here if it's a restricted area?" The guy said he wouldn't get his hopes up. "They just walked in here, which means this place isn't guarded right now." Cheng Huang wondered, what kind of forbidden area is this if they can freely enter here? The interlocutor replied that this area was the Blood Lake Purgatory. Ordinary disciples wouldn't even dare to go near this place. Yaozi was punished by going to purgatory, right? I wonder how he's doing now. Cheng Huang looked at the cave with the lake and said that he didn't think that purgatory was scarier than a giant scorpion. It would be better to hide in that cave. The sect master replied that they should be more careful. Otherwise, they might accidentally enter the purgatory of the bloody lake. Cheng Huang came closer and said that it was just a small cave. Where would a lake come from? It was more important to hide from the scorpion now. The Black Ant King thought that Zhang Ziling had incredible strength. Even if he were to be paired with a 100th, the two of them would not be able to cope. However, you can no longer be distracted. You must move forward. Pulling apart another bush, the Black Ant King thought. She said she was entrenched somewhere nearby. Looking up, the king of the black ants saw an unusual nest. He realized he had found the right place. The king of the black ants lifted his head up and called out loudly to the 100th. There was silence in response. The man thought she had been up all night again. The Black Ant King opened its mouth and let out flying insects. These insects built a swarm and lifted the king black ants up all the way to the nest. So Taya was on a neighboring branch watching this guy from the sidelines. Looking into the nest, the king of the black ants realized that there was no one there. Where had she gone? The man turned around and tried to locate the 100th with his gaze. The girl was in the back and looked up at the intruder. The 100th jumped off the branch and descended on the swarm of insects right next to the king of the black ants. They both fell to the ground. The man said angrily that she was up to her old tricks again. The 100th chuckled and said that every time was as funny as the first. The girl stopped laughing and asked, "What did he come for? Did that rascal old man Yao Tian finally set him free?" The Black Ant King said that the sect leader, Yao Tian, had met a strong opponent. So Taya continued, "And now he probably wants her to save him from that?" She knew it. This old man was up to something again. The Black Ant King said that this opponent was very strong and the girl shouldn't go there. The 100th said if she did not go there, the old man would tie up her companion again and beat her. The king of the Black Ants says he won't. He thinks it won't even come to a fight. 100th asked, "Is it really that bad?" It seems that the old man is in big trouble this time, but the Black Ant King's life is still in his hands. The man asked, "So what? If he had to die, he would die." So Taya grabbed her companion's chest and told him not to talk nonsense. After all, if he died, they would never see each other again. Tears came to the girl's eyes. She said that her companion had sworn that they would be friends forever. Had he decided to leave her? For a while they were silent. Each was thinking about something else. After that, the girl said that it was time for them to go to the central shrine and hurried the Black Ant King. Suddenly there was an explosion not far from the place. The young men became alarmed. What could it be? The Black Ant King said the explosion came from the direction of the Blood Lake. The protagonist walked up the steps to the main temple of the Yao Zong Sect's medical center. Clots of dark energy began circling above our hero. The boy thought they were earth spirits, but they're supposed to hibernate all spring. What are they doing here? For our hero, the earth spirits were not a hindrance, not even techniques to use, but an ordinary person would have died long ago. As we approached the center gate, our hero thought that things looked very strange here. Puppets of men, spirits of the earth awake in the spring.
How could one sect even be able to use so many demonic techniques at once? The guy put his hand on the center figure on the door with the image of a snake on it. Did they really have demonic techniques on the door as well?
The snake at the same moment came to life, and entangling our hero's arm, tried to bite him in the face. Zhang Ziling summoned his dark powers in the form of a huge insect and decided to fight back against the snake. The forces were unequal, and the snake, frightened, was forced to retreat. Our hero thought that at least someone here could judge his own abilities. 1 second more and he would have consumed that snake with his black flame. The protagonist opened the center gate and stepped inside the temple. Looking around, he saw no one. The boy thought that everyone had fled as soon as they smelled his presence. Our hero thought he saw some movement near the center throne as he walked in. As he got closer, he decided that there must be a tunnel to the dungeon somewhere nearby. His premonition had not deceived him. Zhang Ziling had discovered a secret passage. He was surprised that there weren't even any traps set here. Zhang Ziling began to descend down the steps below. There was pitch darkness. Our hero ignited his finger. In the demonic world, he had no electricity or daylight, and there was only darkness everywhere. But then he learned about the 3 kinds of true flame, and life became much easier.
Zhang Ziling didn't think that he would have to use this flame on the ground as well.
Next in front of our hero was a lighted tunnel. He thought he had seen such a thing in one of the books in the demon world. Sort of like they use captured spirits to put them in a lamp and illuminate the surroundings. He didn't think anyone here used that kind of thing. Suddenly, the ground beneath my feet shook. Rocks began to fall from everywhere. Our hero wondered, what is going on? He did not register any movement in the ground. Where did this earthquake come from? Zhang Ziling thought there was a reason why he kept thinking that danger was waiting for him somewhere close by. Zhang Ziling thought that he had not wasted so many rare herbs to regain his strength. It would come in handy for him now. He could now use black flames at half the power of the one he had in the other world. The young people were terrified and screamed with fear. They did not understand what was happening. The sectarian reminded them that he had warned them not to go into that cave. The earthquake had blocked the entrance and they were trapped. The young men were on a small island surrounded by a bloody lake. Cheng Huang excused himself and said that if his cronies from the Yao Zong sect hadn't kidnapped them, they wouldn't be here. The young man said no one will be saved. The bloody lake is breaking free. They're doomed. The sectarian said he didn't want to die. After all, he hadn't even had a girlfriend yet. He'd never been kissed. Cheng Huang said to the interlocutor to keep the snot out of his mouth and think about how to get out of here. The sectarian turned to Ben Xiao and asked for permission to kiss her. He said he wanted to die happy. The girl got angry and slapped the rascal. She called him a pervert. Ben Shai said that this guy wouldn't see her kiss, even if they all died here. The guy saw some red spot ahead and pointed it out to his companions. Ben Xiao fearfully asked what it was and why it was moving. The bloody liquid began to rise above the young men and tried to overwhelm them. The bloody liquid was partial, especially to the girl. For some reason, the top of Ben Xiao's clothes were peeled off. Ben Xiao, oblivious to the danger, screamed hysterically. The girl had to turn away from the young people, but the sectarian kept glaring at her. The boy said that now it would not be a pity to die. Cheng Huang asked the burning question of how they would get out of here. The sect master asked why he had driven them here in the first place. Ben Xiao told them to stop arguing and think about how to survive. The young men screamed in terror and said they did not want to die. Suddenly, a stranger appeared in the air in front of them. She was hovering over their island. The sectarian recognized the girl and said it was Sotaya. Then they are saved. Sotaya descended on the island. The sectarian fell to his knees and began to thank her for coming to save them.
Sotaya pushed the guy away and told Yao Ting, the petty coward, to get away from her immediately.
Ben Xiao looked at her savior fearfully. What was wrong with her fingernails? Soda's fingernails were indeed terribly oversized. The raging waves of the bloody lake began to overwhelm the small island. It seemed that there was nowhere to go for help. Suddenly, something up above caught the attention of these people. Cheng Huang pointed his finger upwards and said for everyone to pay attention to that person.
Up above, the king of the black ants appeared.
The man shouted for Sotaya to hurry up. He wouldn't last long. Ben Xiao cried even louder. If even they couldn't cope, there was definitely no way out of here, and everyone was doomed. Yu Ting said that he would protect this woman even at the cost of his life. Ben Xiao replied that she doesn't need that. She doesn't want to be in his debt even if she has to die. Sotaya decided that there was no time to lose, and decisive evacuation action had to be initiated. The girl activated the transformation mode and used body armor. Now for a while, the bloody lake would not scare her. The 100th shouted for the Black Ant King to not stand still and save people. The Black Ant King descended onto the island with the help of a swarm of flying insects, picked up Ben Xiao and Yao Ting under his arms, and began to climb up. Sotaya told Cheng Huan to grab onto her. The guy immediately wrapped his arms around the woman and thanked her. Sotaya activated the Falcon transformation mode. Her wings appeared and she flapped them and flew upwards. Cheng Huang, hugging Sosha, said that this was the happiest day of his life. He would never forget his savior. Looking around, the Black Ant King thought that Sotaya had already changed shape twice in a row. Then it's not good. Transformation required a lot of energy, and she was already on the verge. The king of the black ants looked at 100. She was flapping her wings with difficulty, sinking lower and lower to the bloody liquid. Releasing the men to the surface, the black ant king told them to run as far away from here as possible. The man turned around and told Satya to hold on and not to think of giving up. The red demonic liquid was about to engulf the 100 and her passenger. The girl pushed Chung Huang forward and shouted for the black ant king to catch him. The four-armed man caught the guy and saved him from falling. Soda's wings disappeared and she began to fall into the bloody water. The four-armed man and Chung Huang looked on in horror at this dramatic scene. Satya, sinking into the abyss of bloody liquid, looked sadly at the king of the black ants and told him to run away from here and save himself. The four-armed man pushed Chung Huang outside and shouted for him to run far away from here. The black ant king turned around and was about to move down. Chung Huang shouted, "What is he doing? He has to get out of there immediately." The four-armed man sank lower and lower, almost touching the red liquid. Chung Huang asked, "Does Four-Handed really think that Satya sacrificed himself so that he would sink into this liquid?" The Black Demon King told Satya to forgive him. He added that he didn't want to live in this world if it didn't have her in it, and he also began to immerse himself in that liquid. However, as always, the unexpected happened. Another man showed up. Everyone saw the protagonist appear in the cave. Chung Huang shouted that Zhang Ziling had come to save them. Our hero, using his inner resources and immense demonic power, picked up the Black Ant King and pulled him out of the red liquid. The king of the Black Ants was safe outside the cave. Chung Huang said that there was another girl in the water, and it would be a good idea to rescue her too. Zhang Ziling didn't need to ask twice, and he extracted 100th from the bloody liquid in the same manner. The girl was a little burned, but still alive.
Chung Huang shouted happily that she had saved them all.
The protagonist thought that the bloody liquid had damaged more than half of the surface of her body. With wounds like that, it's impossible to delay. She urgently needed treatment or she wouldn't survive. A monster came to the surface from the bloody liquid and looked at our hero holding the girl in his arms. The monster, smiling, looked at Zhang Ziling with a demonic gaze. He was very eager to fight him. Zhang Ziling realized that he had to save the girl in his arms. Chung Huang shouted for the four-armed man to come to his senses faster and look at what was going on below. The Black Ant King looked at the man who appeared from the red liquid and shouted that it was impossible. Noticing the frightened face of the four-armed man, Chung Huang asked, "Did the man really know him?" The four-armed man started stuttering again out of fear and couldn't pronounce the name. With fear in his eyes, the Black Ant King said that this monster looked like Master Yao Di. The Black Ant King added that this monster looked like a master, only much younger. The monster was rapidly approaching, bloodlust in its eyes. The protagonist was completely calm. Satya was unconscious. The monster reached out and intended to grab our hero, but Zhang Ziling used his inner resources to push his opponent back. The rivals' gazes met for a moment. The protagonist told the monster to introduce himself. The monster only laughed in response. Ben Xiao tried to break free from Yao Ting's hands. The guy held her and said that it was dangerous to go back to the cave. Yao Ting told her to stop stalling. They have to run away from here. The seal holding back the blood lake is broken. Soon there will be nothing left here at all. Ben Xiao was not a coward. After all, that strange man with 4 arms and the girl had saved them just now. Ben Xiao stated that she had to go back. You can't leave them there. Yao Ting blocked her way. He called it suicide. She can't go there. Yao Ting said that the 4-armed man is called the Black Ant King and the girl is called the Soda Beast. These two are some of the strongest experts in the entire Yao sect. Yao Ting said that none of them could resist the bloody stream. If they go there, they will surely die. Ben Xiao declared that she still had to go back. Yao Ting took the girl's hand and said, "You can't go there." Even if they ran away from here now, it was not certain that they would get out. By the lake, they would surely die.
Ben Xiao didn't agree. If a guy wants to, he can run away alone. She goes back. Yao Ting tried to change her mind. How can she help the 2 strongest masters of the sect?
The girl stated that Chung Huang is still there. She can't abandon her friend. A man appeared on the young people's path and asked the girl if she had another friend. For example, Zhang Ziling. Ben Xiao raised her head and asked the man, "Are you really with that guy?" Yao Ting was startled when he saw the Supreme Elder standing in front of them. He released his spiritual snake on the girl. The snake opened its mouth and bared its sharp teeth. It hissed viciously and approached the girl. Yao Ting covered Ben Xiao from the snake with his body and paid for it. The snake bit the guy in the back. The Supreme Elder got angry and called the guy scum. Ben Xiao picked up the fainted Yao Ting under her arms. The Supreme Elder turned around and walked away, dragging the snake behind him. Ben Xiao asked the guy to hold on and by no means fall asleep. The girl looked at her companion's bleeding wound and wondered, what was wrong with his blood? The Supreme Elder said that the guy was exposed to the bite of a hellish ghost snake instead. His whole body's starting to decompose. A little more, and he won't be able to move at all. Black blood is the least of his problems right now. Ben Xiao asked the Supreme Elder who he was and why he was going to destroy them. The man stated that this guy would live as long as the girl obeyed him. Ben Xiao continued to ask in amazement who he was and what they had done wrong to him. Yao Ting told the companion that it was the head of their sect. The girl wondered how the sect leader could stoop to such lowly behavior. The Supreme Elder said that if these two wanted to live, they should follow him. Ben Xiao was holding the weakened Yao Ting. The young men followed the sect head Yao Zong a little further away. Ben Xiao didn't bother. Why did the sect leader attack Yao Ting in the first place? Isn't he supposed to protect him? The guy replied that the elder had noticed that the girl cared about him and decided to use him as a hostage. Ben Xiao agreed that she cared about him. After all, he had put himself under the bite of that snake to protect her. Yao Ting told his companion not to worry about him, and as soon as the moment presented itself, she should run away without looking back. The girl rejected this suggestion, saying that the elder wouldn't help the guy after that. Yao Ting asked, did she really decide to take care of him? Ben Xiao replied that she was a human being, and it was her nature to take care of other people. The elder walked over to where the bloody water was gushing out of the banks. Ben Xiao thought, where is Cheng Huang now? The Supreme Elder realized what the earthquake was as he exited the secret tunnel. His teacher told him that there was a horrible creature imprisoned in the bloody lake, and that the day it was released, the sect would come to an end. The girl shouted out a name, Cheng Huang. Ben Xiao sat down on the lakeside and began to cry. She didn't want Cheng Huang to die. The Supreme Elder thought that he had originally wanted to use the heavenly team to fight Zhang Ziling, but now he thought that there was no one to fight anymore. If the creature from the Blood Lake gets out, the sect will be finished, and not just the sect. Cheng Huang's head appeared in front of Ben Xiao. However, it was green in color and upside down. The girl cried out in fear and thought that there was a ghost in front of her. Cheng Huang smiled and apologized for the prank. He didn't think he would scare her so much. Cheng Huang was upside down. His legs were held by the Black Ant King on top of the swarm of insects. Ben Xiao got even more angry and grabbed the guy by the throat and asked why would he think she was scared. All the young people were safe. Cheng Huang stated that Zhang Ziling had saved the two of them. Ben Xiao wondered, is he really that strong? Cheng Huang said that Zhang Ziling was much stronger than they thought. Even the King of Black Ants can confirm. The Supreme Elder ordered that the Black Ant King should immediately tell him what was going on here.
The four-armed man got scared, started stuttering again, and confessed to the sect leader that Zhang Ziling had indeed saved them all. The Supreme Elder thought that he had scared this guy again. The four-armed man said that the creature from the lake was very similar to young Yao Di. The sect leader thought that the creature from the lake had absorbed Yao Di's soul and taken on his appearance. But he had sent Yao Ji there. The lake had probably swallowed them both, and that was why the seal had broken.
However, it doesn't matter. No matter how strong he was, no one could handle the creature from the Blood Lake in his human form. Even if he dodged the attacks, he would end up becoming part of the lake himself. Sect leader. Yao saw a bloody monster that looked like Yao Di in his youth fly out of the cave with great speed with his back to the front. Following the monster, Zhang Ziling came out of the cave. Our hero had an emotionless 100th in his arms. The young men were overjoyed when they saw their savior, Zhang Ziling. All present greeted our hero with cheers. How good it is that he is alive. The King of Black Ants fondly took his mate, the 100th, from the protagonist's arms. The Supreme Elder looked at those monsters and didn't say anything to them. Cheng Huang asked, did Zhang Ziling really defeat that monster? Ben Xiao rushed to hug our hero out of joy. Cheng Huang was even a little jealous. The girl tearfully said that Zhang Ziling had saved her. That's really nice. However, the blood monster was still alive. He rose to his feet and shouted loudly, Zhang Ziling!
The sect head said that this monster wants to devour all living beings in the area. No one, not even Zhang Ziling, could fight such a demon.
If it consumes the remaining water from the lake, then the whole country will be finished. Zhang Ziling said that there was no need to worry, he would handle it himself. The guy asked that everyone present move farther away for their own safety.
The bloody monster, washed by the water from the lake, was getting closer.
Sect head Yao was surprised. Why is Zhang Ziling waiting? It is necessary to destroy the monster immediately. If he absorbs all this water, no one will be able to deal with him. Zhang Ziling asked, why would he listen to sect leader Yao? After all, he had not yet forgotten how he had kidnapped his friends. They had sealed their own souls in one place. What else did they expect? The Supreme Elder said that now was not the time to bring up past grievances. This is not a chance to miss. Sect head Yao threw a cloth towards the blood monster and said that it was the heaven sealing cloth. The canvas opened up and covered the monster with a huge dome. The Supreme Elder shouted, seal it! And the monster was trapped. The sect head laughed with joy. This monster has been captured by my seal. Our hero thought, judging from how much the Elder was pulling, this was his strongest artifact. The blood monster screamed loudly, and under the impact of the sound wave, the dome was shattered. The Supreme Elder was frightened. Could this monster have instantly been able to destroy my heavenly canvas? The blood monster looked at our hero and said that he'd still have to deal with this guy first. Zhang Ziling thought that this monster was still full of strength, even after being struck by his flames. Our hero smiled. He saw the bloody monster as the perfect opponent on which to test his strength. The protagonist activated the formation of 4 holy demons. 4 holy beasts appeared in front of him. The 4 Saint Demon formation is not a type of black flame. While still living in another world, Zhang Ziling was able to find and tame the 4 strongest demons. It took him 400 years of cultivation. In other words, the fact that Zhang Ziling was now able to use such a technique meant that he had already recovered about half of his strength. Our hero's 4 strongest demons were preparing to engage in a confrontation with the bloody monsters of the opponent. All those present watched the upcoming fight with their mouths open in horror. The Supreme Elder was surprised. What kind of technique is this? This guy just summoned such strong beasts. Even my teachers only had to read records of techniques of this level. However, the Supreme Elder thought that the thing that came out of the lake was much stronger. It was the very embodiment of doom. Our hero wouldn't even think that such a small sect hides something so powerful. The strongest battle began. The forces were equal. No one had a clear advantage. A bloody monster in front of a huge demon was looming over our hero. Cheng Huang and Ben Xiao watched on in horror. The girls shouted that Zhang Ziling's formation was being pushed back. The Supreme Elder said that now is a great time. Our hero prepared to deliver a massive blow and swung his fist. Zhang Ziling approached his opponent and punched him in the head with tremendous force. The blood monster swayed. His opponent stayed on his feet and, smiling, said he'd had enough of these games. The blood monster jumped up and rushed at our hero while clenching his fists. Zhang Ziling did not retreat. He adopted a fighting stance, and with his hands up, he prepared to block his opponent's strikes. Zhang Ziling concentrated his energy and created a protective dome around himself. The monster struck the dome and asked, does the opponent really think that this shield will save him from the onslaught? However, our hero didn't sit still either, and using his internal reserves, encased the monster in a sphere. The monster, resisting, asked, did this guy really decide to grab me like this? Zhang Ziling replied that it wouldn't have worked out before, but the opponent had spent too much effort defending against his formation. The Supreme Elder was terribly surprised. How could this guy find a weakness in the monster's defense so quickly? Zhang Ziling frighteningly opened his eyes. He was sitting in the airplane cabin, and his sister was holding his hand. Ziyu said, it's time to wake up. The plane has long since landed. The girl told her brother that all the passengers had long since gotten off the plane. There was indeed no one in the cabin except the 2 of them. Ziyu headed towards the gangway and told her brother to hurry up. Zhang Ziling got up from his chair and told his sister to wait for him. The young men held out their hands to each other, but the sister began to fade away. The guy shouted his sister's name, Ziyu! The girl, looking at her brother fearfully, dissolved into thin air. Our hero felt that he was falling somewhere. He had a look of mute horror on his face. There was no support under his feet, and the boy fell into the abyss, sinking lower and lower. Our hero found himself on the edge of a cliff below him, even deeper. The red abyss was raging. Zhang Ziling wondered, where was he? Zhang Ziling heard his sister calling out to him from somewhere above. She was asking for help. Zhang Ziling shouted to his sister that he was coming to help, and for her not to be afraid. Our hero began to climb up the rocks, scraping his fingers until they bled. The young man was already at the very top. All that was left was to pull himself up to get to the surface. Zhang Ziling saw 2 huge armed monsters capturing his sister. Ziyu resisted and screamed for her brother to save her. The boy climbed to the surface and rushed to his sister's aid. He shouted her name loudly. The monsters grabbed the girl's arms and lifted her high up.
There were tears of despair in Ziyu's eyes.
The bloodthirsty monsters let go of the girl, and she began to fall into the bloody abyss. Zhang Ziling watched his sister sink into the abyss with horrified silence. The girl, falling down, looked at her brother and said his name, Hang Ziling. The Black Ant King, Supreme Elder, Cheng Huang, and Ben Xiao looked at the exhausted Zhang Zilin with bated breath. Our hero was caught in the vortex of the bloody abyss. There was no more strength to resist. The Supreme Elder thought that this guy had overestimated himself too much.
The sect had assumed that his soul had already been sucked into the underworld.
Ben Xiao grabbed the Supreme Elder by the shoulders and shouted for him to save Zhang Zilin. Cheng Huang said that Zhang Ziling is their last hope. Without this guy, they would all be doomed. Sect head Yao thought that Zhang Zilin's presence was getting weaker and weaker. What could he do if this bloody monster withstood even such a strong spell? The elder said he didn't know what to do. How can he deal with the clone of the king of the underworld? Ben Xiao was surprised. Is it really the king? The elder said that ordinary people call him King Yama, the ruler of the underworld. Ben Xiao looked up and asked, then it turns out he's a god? The Supreme Elder said that he only sucked souls from the blood lake, so it's a clone of a god. The head of the sect added that it was the god of doom. The blood monster looked even more aggressive than before. The Supreme Elder said that his ancestors shouldn't have messed with King Yama in the first place. Zhang Ziling was already half submerged in the bloody liquid. The sect leader suggested that humanity was already doomed. The blood demon said that these pathetic people were about to die and directed streams of red liquid at them. Cheng Huang shouted loudly for everyone to immediately fall to the ground. The trees nearby were damaged and began to fall down with a crackling sound. Yapu Ting, lying on the ground, prayed that the tree wouldn't fall on him. Cheng Huang shouted that he shouldn't get up, just keep lying on the ground. Yao Ting said that lying down would not help. The Grand Elder activated his White King Cobra and commanded it to move forward. The White King Cobra and the Black Ant King simultaneously moved to attack the bloody monster. The villain grabbed the cobra by the jaws and started resisting. The cobra's jaws appeared to have been ripped apart. Sect head Yao was terrified. This monster had just taken their clan's secret technique and devoured it. The blood monster, after destroying the cobra, came close to the Supreme Elder. The villain pounced on the Elder. Cheng Huang and Ben Xiao started running away.
The Black Ant King dressed up as flying insects and tried to attack his opponent. Cheng Huang thought, how long would the Black Ant King's tricks last?
The four-armed man said, for people to run away as soon as possible, he would withstand at most one more attack from the opponent. Cheng Huang was surprised after all. The bloody monster had even devoured the sect head. The monster, having dealt with the Supreme Elder, said he had not had enough, too little to be satisfied. The blood monster turned its attention to the people a little further away. Cheng Huang told Four-Armed to run away by himself. He can fly, and he has a better chance of escape. Ben Xiao said that Zhang Ziling had died, and they would all die here. Cheng Huang objected, Zhang Ziling is not dead. Cheng Huang added, it's just that this guy hasn't woken up yet. Our hero rose to his feet and opened his eyes. In front of him were the armed monsters who had stolen his sister. Zhang Ziling picked up the spiritual weapon and activated the flame. The guy pounced on the monsters with rage and began to destroy them mercilessly. One of the monsters was immediately dismembered into 2 pieces with just one blow. The other monster also did not escape retribution and was destroyed by our hero. Zhang Ziling released the weapon from his hands and lowered himself to the ground, saying his sister's name, Ziyu. Numerous hands began to rise from the ground and grab our hero. After a while, the boy found himself captured by those hands like a spider's web. Cheng Huang and Ben Xiao saw a bloody monster approaching in front of them. Cheng Huang shouted for the monster to stay away from them. Ben Xiao tearfully called out to the Black Ant King for help.